maybe you should. No, I've got to get pizzas to that observatory over there. And so you get attacked by some like smoke monster, and you like the pizzas fall off, and you're like scrambling around, like, oh no, somebody
Smoke
needs
monster.
the pepperoni.
So I'm swimming through 30-weight motor oil.
Why are these new additions to your game that your intention was to release this fall? What are you doing?
Their primary focus should be surviving litigation.
Someone take his phone. I'll do it. Just give me a key card and a red button that turns off Randy's Wi-Fi.
It pisses me off that they lump racing in with sports. Then you look at this insert F-bomb, Mario Kart and Sonic Racing lumped in with F-125.
An aimless rant. We were just angry.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
What's up, everybody? We are live. It is episode 54 of the Hardcore Casual Broadcast. He is Jay of F1 Podcast fame. I am Mason of Online Infamy, and we are the conversation at the table behind you. It has been quite the week, Jay.
I know, man. Crazy.
Very
Absolutely
innovative.
nuts. I was going to let you go first because your week might have been crazier than mine. Mine was, and I'd mentioned this to you earlier, it was just all work-related. And after taking my month off of partaking of God's Nectar, which is Kentucky bourbon, tonight I decided to enjoy Two Fingers during the show.
Well, I am with you in solidarity, but only in spirit, as I am enjoying a HEB brand Coke Zero. So,
And brother, listen, if I had an HEB, that's what I'd be drinking because I actually loved that stuff.
oh, me too. I prefer.
Yeah.
I prefer the HEB brand stuff,
it's
man.
excellent. There's a couple of off-brand things, and I know we're already on a tangent. We haven't
Yeah.
even got through the intro.
That's what this show's going to be about.
But
This show is more about vibes than it is breaking news.
Like, I think Freshly's Nutty Buddy bars are better than the name brand like Little Debbie or even Hostess. There's so many things. We could do a whole show just on where you can skimp and still get good quality food, and then where you still have to pony up.
Yeah, there was one. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but especially there was one time whenever you and I worked together, and it was many years ago. But there was like this whole. It was a weird situation where it was basically like a 7-Eleven inside of the workplace. You know what I'm talking about. And there were two things that they had in particular that I loved, and one I have been able to find since, and that is an energy drink called Rooster Booster, which is now at Quick Trip.
I remember that.
So, they actually now have a Rooster Booster at Quick Trip. So I have gotten that a couple of times as a nostalgic sort of thing. And there was also, I'm not a big fan of Twinkies myself, which may be a bit of a sin. Yeah,
Thank you.
But
I'm not a fan either.
I like it's like the texture of the cake is just a little bit weird. It's more rubbery than spongy. I don't know. It's just a little off. But they had like something that was like, I think it was called like Zingers or something like that.
Oh,
but
I
it was
love
like
Zingers.
But it was like, yeah, cream-filled cakes, except they had chocolate or vanilla or strawberry, and they were iced, and they were just far superior.
Absolutely.
To Twinkies. I don't get the emotional attachment that people have to Twinkies. Zingers are better. That's the hill I'm dying on.
I second that motion. I'm standing also at the hill.
Yeah, and as far as the week, not going to go into work's been crazy, personal life's been crazy, and even not the least of which, even YouTube this week has been a bit crazy. So, I put out a video from our last episode, and it was regarding the GTA story, where we broke down why everything that you've been hearing essentially all of 2026 so far for GTA 6 is bullshit. We went into, we broke down the stories, where the stories came from, why they're probably not all that reliable, and did this whole thing. And I thought it was a really great deep dive piece. I thought it was super interesting. I thought people would like it, especially given our momentum. And then it's like, you know what? people, and I've certainly had my share of this week, where you expect people to use you and let you down and forget all the times you changed their tire at 6:30 in the morning, but you don't expect YouTube to do that. You don't expect YouTube to forget, and YouTube forgot, dude. I put that out, and that thing went, like it just died. And I think it's probably my fault on this one because I did use a term repeatedly during the course of this deep dive, but I thought it was educational. I thought it fit what we were doing, and that was bullshit. I used that word a lot, and I censored it in the intro, and then I left it through the rest of it because, hey, we're not monetized yet anyway. What's it gonna hurt? It hurts. It hurts right there. Nobody saw it. So yeah, it was a lesson learned, I guess. I need to watch my mouth more than I thought, even when we're not yet monetized.
Yeah, that's a tough beat.
But anyways, how about you, man? I know, like you said, you had a rough week with work and everything. But anything else you want to talk about off the top?
Well, I mean, not to sound like Bill Murray and Ghostbusters, but apparently on August 12th of this year.
We're wanting to lead with that. All right, here we go.
Yeah. I thought let's just get into it and
Let's do it.
Stir the soup right off. Apparently, we're going to lose gravity for 7 seconds. There's going to be fire and brimstone, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. No, we're supposed to lose gravity for 7 seconds. I don't know what time. Of course, it's all BS in the end anyway. But and it's the result of two black holes, basically on opposite ends of the galaxy. Their wave emissions are going to collide, and we're basically in the middle. And for some reason, against all good science, we're going to lose gravity for 7 seconds. To which most people think that the loss of gravity on this planet just means that we just slowly float up like helium balloons. And I think they forget the fact that, A, we're all moving at 23,000 plus miles an hour right now.
Yes.
So the end result of moving that fast and then an instant loss of gravity, to me, would be catastrophic. And I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm also not a dummy. And I got to tell you, that sound. And of course, they're predicting 40. The people that came up with this conspiracy are predicting 40 million deaths as a result of some leaked NASA document where they were already spending $89 billion on building bunkers. So anyway.
Yeah, well,
Your
as far as
thoughts?
gravity goes, people tend to think of it as the thing that keeps us from jumping up. It's like it keeps us from elevating or something like that. Where it holds us down. They think of gravity, it holds us down.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess in a very simplistic understanding, that's true. But really, what it's doing is it is pulling us back, and the ground is stopping us from being pulled further. Like you're saying, we're being spun like a top. So whenever there's no gravity, it's not just like, oh, well, yeah, I can jump and then woo. It's like pooh,
Hold my balloons going up and
yeah, it's like the thing that is pulling you, and the surface is stopping you. So you're holding against that surface.
Yeah,
no gravity means pew. Like it's a gunshot, So you're breaking the sound barrier. So yeah, would not be great. And so I saw a video, the Y Files. I'm a big fan of the Y Files. Think that AJ Gentle, of the Y Files and all that, and Hecklefish, of course. I think that they're great. I think it's a great show, great channel. You guys should definitely subscribe and watch. They're fantastic content. He digs into all these conspiracy theories. So he put out like a megasode of this thing. It was like 30 minutes or maybe even more, but it was at least around a half an hour breakdown of this. I didn't get to finish watching it because of the insanity that was this week. Yeah. But I know that there was some release documents and stuff or things like that. Now, granted, guys, just to be clear, will this actually happen? Probably not. Like, there's probably not something that's going to happen here. Let's just be clear. However, Yeah. Hide your
It's
wife,
totally
hide your kids. Yeah.
It's totally gonna happen. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, but there was supposedly some guy that had done some equations, and that
Yeah.
there was like a 94% chance, according to his equations, that this would happen. It would be 7 seconds, and everything would reset, and it was this whole thing. Now, what's funny is that this kind of story about how this came about this guy that knew these equations, and he predicted this, and everybody thought he was crazy. And this sounds, it sounds like a lot of different sci-fi movies, but it sounds like one that's coming up pretty soon, and that is the Hail Mary Project, which I am so excited for. So,
Dude, I can't
you know
even
what?
wait. I was talking to somebody about a guy at work. Apparently, he read The Martian, and then many years later, like yesterday, is 70% through Project Hail Mary. And I had to tell him, I'm like, same guy?
Yeah.
So it was an interesting, and he's looking, I'm like, the movie's going to be fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I have seen absolutely nothing in anything that they've released that makes me go like, oh, I wish they hadn't done that.
Yeah.
Everything just looks absolutely stellar.
I gotta tell
everything.
you, Gosling doesn't pick junk.
Yeah, he's very much like Denzel Washington, where it's like,
Yes.
name the last Ryan Gosling movie that sucked. Like I can't think of one.
I even loved Fall Guy, and a lot of people would probably say that was his worst pick ever, but I thought it was fantastic. Him and Emily Blunt together like salt and vinegar. And you brought up Denzel, which is weird because his debut movie was Remember the Titans with Denzel.
That's true. Yeah, he was. What was it? Sunshine. He was Sunshine. in that one. Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah, so a fun little NASA conspiracy theory that we'll have to keep our keep track of and see if anything comes of this, because we always love conspiracies. We still got to do some more deep dives, some hyper focuses on it. But yeah, I'm intrigued. So what's up?
I was just going to say the project was called Project Anchor, whatever that is. So be careful when you're folks, if you watch this or listen to this podcast, be careful when you're Googling, because there are some legitimate Project Anchors out there. Trust me, I found plenty of them today.
Now this hazard that you are putting up, is this going to put them on a list if they come across the wrong one?
I can neither confirm nor deny that, Bob. Back to you in the studio, Phil. Anyway, yeah, just be careful when you're looking that stuff up. Also, now I'm curious. I'm wanting to turn on a VPN and start Googling. That was the idea. There is a scheduled full, I can't believe it's actually named this, a full rear solar eclipse for the August 12th. So I don't know. I never heard them called that before. Is the other one a full frontal?
I don't know. Now,
either way, all this sounds pretty saucy.
That one sounds like that one sounds like a Google that would be far more fun if it went the wrong direction.
Can I get a full rear solar eclipse?
And a full frontal on the Google, yeah. Just don't Google those at work. That's probably the move on that one. But if you're doing it on your own time in your own house, in your own, doing whatever, then you know what? If you get what you Googled for, if you get something you didn't expect, you're probably going to win either way.
It's your browsing history, folks, not mine. We will leave how to delete your browsing history in the comments after this fit. No, we won't. Just kidding.
Yeah, just a quick link to some like 15-year-old YouTube video. But okay, well, yeah. So it's been a crazy week, but like I said, this one's going to be less about breaking news. There's not been a lot of news. It's been a rough week. Jay and I have had a long thing going on, and since there's not a lot of breaking news, like I said, this one's about vibes. This is about a good hang. You know what? It's been a rough week. We're just going to chill. We're going to talk. We're going to have some conversations. But there is one thing, and Jay sent me this. I don't remember what day it was that you sent this to me, where it was just out of nowhere.
Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, and just randomly out of nowhere. It wasn't part of an award show. There wasn't anything where we heard rumblings that something was coming. And Jay sends me this trailer for a game called Samson. What is the full name of it? Like Samson, a
Tyndalston Story.
Yeah, Samson, a Tyndalston Story.
I know, right?
I don't know why they didn't just stick with Samson. Like why it couldn't have just been Samson, or if it could. I mean, let's do Smith. I don't know, something. Why Tyndalston? That's a mouthful. It's whatever. But anyways, Jay sent me the trailer for that, And man, it looked really interesting. We wanted to watch the trailer, react to it again, and then there's also some gameplay that we can take a look at and just kind of give our thoughts on it, because I'm not gonna lie, I am intrigued already with what little we have seen, and we'll get into some of the legacy behind this game as well once we watch this trailer, I guess.
So this will be the 1 minute reveal trailer.
Tyndalston, asshole of the world.
I like the name of that shop is Double Tap.
Everyone's either
I'm just saying, I don't think our guy,
collecting.
I don't think his elevator
buried
makes it
in
all the way to
between.
the top floor.
My past mistakes are catching up. In this city,
So we got some biker gangs and stuff in there already. Some broken knees and necks.
Love the car.
Oh, yeah.
You can curl up and die in the street, or you can fight the fuck back.
So that is the trailer that we got. So before we go into the gameplay, I don't know. Do you have any particular thoughts on the trailer itself before? And some of these thoughts or whatever may be answered in the gameplay.
Well, I mean, so obviously, like when I first saw it, my first thoughts went to this right here.
Yes.
And I love these games, and I put all of them up here, folks, because we have a various cornucopia of viewers.
And for those who may just be
age-wise.
listening, he's put up a list of all the Driver games.
Yes. So I started with the very first one on the PlayStation 1,
Yep.
which was just the PlayStation then, of course. But I haven't even played some of these. I've played Driver and Driver 2, and that was it.
I had no idea that there was a Driver Speedboat Paradise. That one surprised me. I thought I was pretty down with my Driver lore. Apparently not. But yeah, you mentioned this before, and I 100% agree that it felt like Driver. And watching that, it very much feels like Driver, because Driver, this was in a time before there was Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 3, or at least Grand Theft Auto 3. Grand Theft Auto 3 was one that changed everything. You know, whenever Grand Theft Auto was 2D, it was never that big of a deal. But Driver was the first game where you kind of got that feeling of being able to kind of go off the track a little bit. And they built the game around that, where things were made for you to plow through. They would set up the roadblocks and things for you to go through, and they would go into slow motion and they would fly apart. So like GTA is very much a world that you get to exist in and you interact with however you want. But Driver was very much built for you to go through these things in a very cinematic way, and knock over carts and go through these barriers. But you couldn't get out of your car for like the first. Which one was the first one where you could get out of your car? Was it 3?
I thought I could get out in 2, or it might have been 3. You might be right.
I don't know, but it was a big. And then even whenever you could get out of your car, it was never good. In all of the iterations, it was never good.
Yeah.
So it was never the strong suit. But yeah, watching that, I got some very Driver vibes. And then another thing, like you said, you love the car. And I very much get the idea so far from that trailer that's your car. Like that it's not like about car hopping where you're just like, oh, I'm going to steal this car, and then I'm going to steal this car, and I'm going to steal this car. It looks like you're going to be taking care of that car.
I don't think your dude can afford shit in this game. I think you're literally using that car. I think that's it. And then whatever household items you can find to take with you when you're going somewhere. That's my initial feeling on that.
The one thing that I'm just where I was like, I don't know, is that voice, that stereotypical hard-boiled, like fake rough voice, I'm like, maybe it'll be like maybe once we get the full vibe of the game, maybe it'll kind of like play into it. But right now, it's just a little bit like, could we have not just gotten somebody more normal? Did it have to be the stereotypical, like my hometown? It's dying from the inside out. It's just like, come on, bro.
All alone.
Yeah. Does it got to be that way? So, but yeah. So anyway, so now, do you have the gameplay trailer up?
I do. I do want to say one more thing because you brought up GTA, and there's a lot of people already comparing this to GTA, which for me feels like an oversimplification, and I think you said it best. GTA does a lot of things, but GTA has always been one of those jack of all trades, master of none type of franchises. And I know people are going to hate on me for that, and that's fine. But they don't do any one thing fantastically. There's always some issues. Where you had a game like Driver, the driving, like you said, the driving in that game is absolutely on point. And then when you could get out of the car, it was terrible. And if you're going to compare this or Samson to GTA at all, the closest one would be 4, Liberty City, just from a setting standpoint. But I really feel like anymore, if a game's open world, people are like, if it's open world modern, people are like, oh, it's GTA. If it's open world fantasy, it's Assassin's Creed or whatever, whatever's hot at the moment. So yeah.
Well, and so I saw that it was you had mentioned this, and we might as well kind of talk a little bit about this too. But Liquid Swords was the studio behind it, Liquid Swords was the studio behind it, but you also said that is Avalanche publishing it, or is it like former Avalanche devs that...
Yeah, there's former Avalanche devs in on it, so...
Okay, that sort of started Liquid Swords. Okay, and so for those of you that don't know, Avalanche did Just Cause, which is a long-storied... a game, but kind of like a GTA on steroids, where you're usually in some foreign, tropical thing. You're just blowing up absolutely everything. But the other thing that they did even more recently that I am like a huge fan of is the Mad Max. Hold on, we're getting the audio. Let me mute that audio. Is that they're behind the Mad Max game. And I absolutely love the Mad Max games. And this right here, this is why, is that combat. The Mad Max combat felt so good. Just this hand-to-hand, like, everything felt like it weighed a ton. Like, when you hit somebody with a pipe, like, you felt that. And I can already see here.
You played Mad Max quite a bit.
Yes.
I am a huge Just Cause fan. I thought Just Cause did something that GTA could never do, which was give us that crazy outdoor jungly environment that we got with Ricardo or whatever his name was in that. And there's DNA, and I'm sure you've already you just talked about it with Mad Max. I can see DNA from Just Cause in this.
Oh, no doubt.
The way it kind of explosive and in your face.
Man, looking at this, look at all the So we've seen people thrown through boards. We just saw this tumble down on top of him. We were seeing stuff fly around. So this is something that you had brought up whenever we were talking before the show started. We just saw a chair break. Was sleeping dogs. This definitely feels like there. You picked up a hammer. This definitely has that sort of environmental interactive ability thing, like sleeping dogs had. I'm getting strong vibes like that. So if we could get something where the combat mirrors like the thud and the weight of something like Mad Max, but also the variety and the ability to interact with the environment as well, like something like Sleeping Dogs, dude, how awesome would that be?
And I got to tell you, man, you talked about thud. If we had the volume on right now and those punches sound like, well, I don't know how many times you've actually hit somebody in your life, but it sounds like, or feels like, if you've taken some too, it feels and sounds like real punches.
And that was what, that was the thing that I loved about Mad Max is everything. Anytime you hit somebody, kick somebody, it felt heavy, and it just felt so satisfying. And I can definitely see some of that kind of coming in here. And okay, so we're getting a look at the driving here a little bit more close up. Which just before this started, also, if you're listening, there's another one where you see a wheel fly off of these cars. So we're also getting to a level of destructibility on the cars that we don't typically see in something like a GTA, where the cars stay together until they blow up. Like, you don't see the wheels fly off in GTA.
Also, if you are watching this going, man, those are some outdated police cars. We haven't mentioned it yet, but this game takes place in the 90s.
Which
So
I wonder
is-
I wonder what else they'll kind of use that for. One, it's probably going to have a pretty cool soundtrack. We're probably going to get a lot of alt rock, some grunge.
They brought that up. They already said they've been busting their tail to secure music.
That would be awesome. So we get some sort of, and it looks like there could definitely be some sort of like the Crow vibes, kind of thing going on in here with the dirty cities.
I thought of the town. I thought, whoa,
there's an ad.
Got to skip the ads for the gotcha games. But I thought of the movie The Town because The Town had this grit feel to it, very much so. Yeah.
Okay, so he's getting out here. Okay, so we faded to black, and so again, it's this car. Like this is all we're seeing in him so far. He's getting in of and out of this same car from the trailer. So and we haven't even confirmed if you will be able to steal additional vehicles.
And I got to tell you too, if you've noticed, I'm not saying we won't.
Yeah,
but,
same.
But you notice this guy's not going to good part. He's never in the good part of town. We're not down, whatever, Times Square or anything. Looks like straight ghetto.
Yeah, Tyndalston looks like the city of Tyndalston that he was talking about whenever we started the trailer. It definitely has sort of like not quite Gotham because it didn't look like any sort of like big skyscrapers or anything like that. But it was sort of like outskirts of Gotham where, nothing's above like 5 or 6 stories. And but everything's dirty and everybody's crooked. And even so, watching this, I could see some things lighting up as though they would be looked like a bottle on a shelf that was sort of like had like a glimmer on it, like you could grab it and interact with it.
The guy that's talking right now, the guy that did a lot of this part, one of the things he's talking about, he's like, this guy's not a soldier, and he's not a master fighter or a martial artist. He's like,
man,
you're gonna be learning that a lot of this stuff as you go. You're gonna be making up your moves, basically.
So that's awesome. And then and we also just saw another level of interactivity here where we got to see him like get pushed through the refrigerator doors at a convenience store. So he got it went through the refrigerator, like the glass door and into the shelves. And then we saw some guy get bumped up against the shelves and then the food and whatever that was on it spill off. So we're definitely getting that level of interactivity. Now, it's not quite the same as Sleeping Dogs yet from what we've seen where you throw somebody over a counter and then you bring the window down or anything like that. But you definitely have more interaction with the environment than the typical game would, something like a GTA or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And I'm wondering which of these guys, and man, props to that guy for dressing up for the interview. But I wonder,
right? It's like they got him in his cubicle and go, dude, hey, we need you to come over here and talk on camera for a couple minutes.
Yeah. You want to just do this? You want to just do this real quick? No. Your shirt's fine. Your shirt's fine. Yeah, it doesn't look too small at all. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm very interested though. But yeah, so far we're seeing a lot of stuff that's kind of repeated from the trailer. I guess it's more about talking. So they're not showing a lot. They're not showing a lot. We're just seeing sort of repeated
segments. But I like
segments.
that they're showing us anything, man, and they're giving us varying types of gameplay. Yeah, it looks like it's on a loop right now, but still. Good stuff. There's that thing with the wheel coming off. I didn't catch that the first time, so that's cool.
Yeah. So, which like I said, is
Stipe
definitely
from REM is in it. Apparently,
he's losing his religion.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that like I said, that level of destructibility even in the vehicles is something that you don't get in GTA because GTA, like even if the doors are falling off, the hood's off, the trunk's open, all 4 wheels are still on it. Even if they're all flat, they're still on it until it starts smoking, then it starts flaming, and then it blows up. Whereas here, we had some wheels come off, and I do wonder if, obviously we got some nitro on there, some NOS, but I wonder if, you can, we'll see, because we haven't seen a car blow up, have we?
No, I haven't seen one.
So we don't even know how that damage works on their vehicles, maybe it's not a thing because, in GTA, you can be in a car and you can run it into a wall at 15, 20 miles an hour over and over and over until it just blows up, because that's just how it works.
Which,
I wonder if they'll just stop working on this. Maybe unless they don't just blow up, maybe they just kind of stop working or they become incapacitated. See that?
It's
Okay,
really not that hard or not that easy to get a car to explode.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so that's a thing where it's like, I wonder if maybe this could be a little piece of DNA that they're taken from Mad Max as well. So one thing we talked about was the hand-to-hand combat, but also in Mad Max you had car combat, and you had NOS, and then you could also do, like, you had swipes and things like that, and you could target parts of this car. So you could take a wheel off, you could take a door off. And obviously, it's not going to be the same level here where you're shooting a harpoon at a car and yanking the door off or something like that. But it feels like there's some of that same kind of DNA where you are utilizing your vehicle, like you said before, as a weapon against these vehicles. So it's not just a simple chase. It looks like they've designed them to be battering rams, where you are actively swerving. They probably have mechanics to allow that, just like they did in Mad Max. And I'm getting some. I'm definitely seeing the DNA of the people that they've got on board with it.
Yeah, and I gotta say too, real quick, and folks, this is absolutely just me thinking. This is not. I didn't read this anywhere.
Yeah, this is all speculation at this point. We have very little information.
I feel like I have to stipulate that now with everything I say, but how cool would it be? Because we saw. Hold on. Sorry.
We're both still getting over all that too.
Yeah. So we saw the car take quite a bit of damage in this gameplay. Even though it was on a loop, there was still a lot of damage. I wonder if your car can ever get incapacitated to the point, and your dude is so broke, he can tell he's not made of money. So I'm wondering if you're just on foot until you can earn enough money to get your car fixed. How cool would that be? Where you got to put that Joker in the shop?
I don't know, man. It just says coming soon, so we don't even know the release date yet. It just says coming soon.
Right.
But I think it would be a bummer if there was like a fail state where it was like, hey, your car, like, because that's what would happen in Driver. Like, if you took too much damage or whatever in Driver, it would just be like, okay, well, restart the mission, and you just have to go back. So hopefully it wouldn't do that. But I think surely I think that it's very probable that he is able to steal other vehicles in the game. I just don't think that it's going to be something that it's built around. Kind of like Cyberpunk. You can steal other vehicles in Cyberpunk, but how many vehicles did you steal in Cyberpunk?
I bet it's less than 5.
Right? Like, yeah, it just never crosses your mind because you have your vehicles. You can summon them, and it's just easier. It's just easier to do it that way. You don't have to deal with the cops. You don't have to deal with an angry NPC. You just do whatever, and your car's better anyway. And like you said, this guy doesn't look rich, but he does have a nice car. That is a nice car, and it's going to be better than anything else. I bet it's probably one of those things where you probably can steal some cars for an NPC. It's probably just where it's like there's no benefit to it.
Yeah. Or maybe they'll work it into missions where you have to steal a car for that mission.
Yeah.
I hope that Achy Breaky Heart is not on the soundtrack, because the dude does bear a striking resemblance to the early 90s version of Billy Ray Cyrus. I'm just throwing that out there.
I would not. The only version of Billy Ray Cyrus that I'm really familiar with at this point is the current hippie look, where he's got the long hair, the scraggly beard, and whatever else he's got going on. Whatever sort of herbal help he's got to make it through his day. So yeah, I don't recall. I just remember that he had a mullet back in the day. That's my only recollection of peak Achy Breaky Heart Billy Ray Cyrus. And that's also the only song of his that I've ever heard to my knowledge.
I could name another one if I had to.
But man, that's one thing though. That guy got rich, made so much money off of that song. So that's one of those songs where it's like, man, you do one thing well.
Done.
Yeah, good for you. But
anyway, man, excited about this game though.
I am too. And for it to come out of nowhere, that it's crazy. So I'm thinking it might be one of those things where maybe they release it for less than the kind of the expected now. Because whenever we got Clair Obscur, it released cheaper than the standard. I think it was $50, right? Whenever Clear
Yeah.
Obscure released, and obviously it turned out to be Game of the Year. Now I'm not saying this is Game of the Year contender already or anything like that, but I'm saying there's a lane where before it was one of those things where if you released a game and you released it for less, and especially if you released it for significantly less than the standard price, the thought was, well, what's wrong with it? Why is it less? Why am
which is
so,
dumb.
So it was like you wouldn't touch it. But now, again, with games like Clear Obscure and other stuff like that, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, there's kind of a lane is once again being paved for these kinds of games. So I don't know. And again, this is all speculation. We know nothing about this game other than the trailer, and that's about it. But it definitely has that look of a game that they could put out for $50. Maybe the story only goes 8 hours, 10 hours, and it's just more of a way to showcase their systems, their interactive, the way that it can interact and all that sort of stuff. Where the story that they've concocted is really just a way to show a proof of concept for the other things that they've built, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. And another thing that excites me, I'm sure it doesn't excite other developers probably as much, but one of the ancillary things that happens is we're comparing this to Driver. And I even brought up Max Payne because I thought Max Payne was a good, and Sleeping Dogs, obviously, the draw in for that with the hand-to-hand combat and the intuitive environment somewhat. Those developers, though, they're sitting around watching this and hearing people compare it to their games and go, well, shit, now we got to come out with another Driver, or crap, we got to come out with a new version of Sleeping Dogs.
Please, somebody make that happen. How many times do we need to ask? Please make another Sleeping Dogs.
But now they're going to get bombarded with social media statements like, hey,
I hope so.
Saw this game, Samson. When are we getting the next Max Payne, Rockstar?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Like, Max Payne's one of those things where it's like it's dead for a while, and then some name will be renewed, or there'll be a rumor somewhere, or I don't know, something will happen, and it'll just kind of like shake things up again. It's like, oh man, something's coming, and it doesn't. Nothing ever comes. But it's always one of those that's right on the edge, and everybody thinks it's always coming. Kind of like we had the Fallout countdown timer that was going, that just ended yesterday, day before, something like that. Sometime this week, all the days are running together, and everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be Fallout New Vegas 2. It's gonna be what? It's not. It was none of that. It was, I believe, it was a behind the scenes like special episode or something like that on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, the game that you love, which is Mad Max, and you brought it up a million times during this piece. That game has a ridiculous following of people that want a sequel to that.
Yeah, it was just the timing,
amazing, the community. Yeah, the timing was bad.
The timing just did not do it any favors. But man, it was such a good game, and it's definitely gotten more of its flowers, in the time that has passed. And there for a while, I think it was on Game Pass, and I think it might have even had a time where it was on PlayStation Plus as a game that you could play for free with a subscription or something like that. But that's another thing. If you haven't played it, I could not recommend more highly that you go and play this game, the Mad Max. That is, you don't have to have seen any of the movies. It does, just like all the movies. Like, none of the movies really tie in directly with one another in Mad Max. They're all kind of their own standalone things. Yeah. And the game is very much like that, where it's its own story. It's got its own characters. And it does so many interesting things. It does them so well. The environment is quite barren, but it's supposed to be. Obviously, it's Mad Max. But yeah, the combat's phenomenal. The cars, it feels good. You can upgrade the vehicle as you go along, and the car combat is really visceral. And I haven't seen car combat like that anywhere else, where you can, like I said, you target things. You can say, like, you can aim your harpoon and rip armor off of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
really
just a great
cool,
game.
Man.
Yeah.
And Sleeping Dogs to me already, even though I'm about probably maybe halfway in, and I'm already wondering, guys, why have we not a TV show, a movie, or a sequel to the
Well,
game?
we've got the movie coming. We've got the movie
Yeah.
coming now, and so I'm maybe that will also kind of like feed into this, this
hope
public
so, man.
outcry of like, hey, because there's a lot of people that will see this movie that will have no idea that it was
Yeah.
even a game before this movie, because the game's it's been a long time ago now. So it would be great if people like saw the movie and they were like, hey, we need a game of this. And somebody's like, well, there is a game. And then they check out the game and they're like, well, where's the next one? And let's just, I just want it. Let's just get it all. bring the gamer rage up, and let's get a sequel. I want a sequel.
And I
desperately.
I got to. This is kind of part tangent, part piggybacking off of what we've been talking about. Before I get into bad gaming news, gaming bad news. I had a misplaced or dangling modifier somewhere there. Anyway, I want somebody to read the Richard Morgan books and do the Altered Carbon franchise some justice in a game. I think that franchise is prime territory for a game.
I don't even know what studio, and if you don't know the studio's name, just if there's a game that you have played.
Conversation incoming.
Yeah. What studio would you think would be good for that? Because, I mean, there's so many aspects to Altered Carbon. Like, one, it's sci-fi. Two, there's obviously it's prime for an RPG with decision making, working your way through a seedy underground. There's elites, there's criminal enterprise, there's all this stuff, and so there's plenty of opportunity to weave stories in and out of there. There's also tons of opportunity for combat. So it's like, what kind of game? Would it be an RPG? Would it be an action RPG? Would it be straight up action? Would it be a shooter?
Let me tell you what I envision first. And I don't know who makes it. I'm going to bring up a couple of developers at the end of what I'm about to say. But I do think the combat should have an element of, and here I go referencing Max Payne, of the bullet time, where once you weaken an enemy in a gunfight, so it needs to be part shooter for sure, that you have the option to enter slow-mo to go for RD, to go for real death and blow their stack out. So, and then that's where the RPG element comes into play of, do I RD this guy? Or do I just take him out and then rip his stack and, take him into virtual and interrogate him? So maybe it's part cop, part, crime story.
They could also work in the whole stack thing into your own character and make that a mechanic as well for you.
I think, and here's another thing, they can seriously take some shortcuts on travel by having us just upload our DHF and re-sleeve on a different world somewhere else, and then we wake up in that world in a different whatever it is. And then as you've earned more money, maybe you're able to create your own clone library.
For anybody that's not familiar with Altered Carbon, first of all, season 1 on Netflix, watch it. Season 2, don't bother. But season 1 on Netflix is great.
It's stellar.
But the whole thing so as we're talking about re-sleeving or stacks or real death, is your consciousness is basically supported in a disc that they can put in the back of your neck. And so that's your consciousness. And you can bodies are referred to as sleeves, and you can basically just, as long as that's not damaged and you die, they can just pull that out and put you into another body, and you're back in business. You got all your memories, got all that stuff. And so real death is if that is damaged and they destroy that. And re-sleeving is just getting a new body.
Yeah, and there's so many game elements that they can play into. Like when you do load into a different sleeve, are you sleeve sick? Or have you put enough points into whatever the RPG skill tree is to where you can get a percentage off of being sleeve sick for a while, to where you have instant use of all your faculties. But there's so many things they could do with it, but it needs to be like an RPG action shooter, I think. And I hate to say it, and this might be.
I was about to say there's only one that I know that's done that.
There's so CD Projekt Red for me is
that's
my hot
the one,
because so basically, I hate it, but this is going to diminish everything I want in this game by saying it, but they've already done Cyberpunk. So the framework and the architecture is there. They've done Witcher 3 to be able to draw on those RPG elements and what works in a skill tree. I think is there. To me, they're the top. They're the top of the food chain when it comes to producing a game from Altered Carbon.
Yeah, the only other one where it's like an RPG that is also a shooter would be something like Bethesda, but that's not. I wouldn't really count that because like Fallout, it's a means to an end. It is not a shooter. Like Fallout is about the story and all of that, and everything else just means to an end. The shooting is just to get through it. In fact, they have what is it called again? Whenever you bring up the green screen
The pit boy?
No. Whenever you're shooting to see
VATS.
like VATS. Thank you. Yeah, like the whole VAT system is to accommodate and make up for the fact that the actual shooting itself sucks. So yeah, I wouldn't consider that to be like a shooter RPG. It's just not.
And here's another thing, man. And you know Bethesda's near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Fallout and Elder Scrolls are two of my top 5 franchises of all time. And Starfield, since we have Star Wars Genesis, has become up there on the list. But dude, they're a lot like, and I hate to say this for people that are outside of our region, they're a lot like Taco Casa, though, where all their items taste exactly the same.
But it's amazing. Taco Casa. Don't you dare talk crap on Taco Casa.
Every food item at Taco Casa tastes exactly the same. It doesn't matter what you order.
He's lying. It's all delicious,
I'm
and there
telling
is some
the truth.
variety.
There's not. Anyway, Bethesda's games
Come to Texas. Come to Texas and try Taco Casa.
All Bethesda games look the same. They always do, and it works because we're used to those franchises. But I think that's
talking about
part of the
Reese
problem
leaving. That's what a Bethesda game is. It's just the exact same game in a different setting.
Yeah, it's this. I want to say like this soft. Everything's soft edges, and it's this like in a cloud type of. I mean, it always looks the same. There's nothing sharp or super detailed, and I think they rely on that, and people just grow accustomed to it, and they like, hey, it's fine. But this game needs a higher level, so I think CD Projekt Red or a house that maybe is smaller, but it produces high quality stuff. You know, you never know. I'm not saying like
that's happening all the time now. I mean, again, Liquid Studio or Liquid Swords. It looks like this. I've never heard of them before. I'm guessing this is probably their first project that they've put together since coming out. Clair Obscur was the first project for them. So many, because I mean, it's, kind of to piggyback off the bad news that we've been. I know there's more bad news from Ubisoft, but there's also been a lot of bad news around the gaming world where people lose their jobs, things like that. One of the things though is that whenever that happens, is more and more people are now just starting their own studios. And they're doing their own things. They're making the games that they want to make, and which gets us onto something that I actually want to talk about in movies, where we actually had somebody really go and shake up the sort of the Hollywood machine over the weekend, and that was Markiplier with his movie Iron Lung, which Izzy and I are actually going to go see tomorrow night, and I'm super stoked about it. It's a video game. Originally, he played it, he loved it. Bought the rights to it. He wrote it. He directed it. He produced it. He released it. There's no partner. There's no publishing partner, publishing arm, anything like that. It's all Markiplier. He spent $3 million, and he's already made well over 7 times his money back in a single weekend. Also, Texas's own Troy Baker is in there. And one of the stars of it as well. So always love to support Troy Baker. But so you're getting more people doing that in games where, they go and they do their own thing, and there's now actually sort of more of an avenue there than there used to be.
Yeah, and I gotta say, and I know this is going to be unpopular, and we've brought it up a few times, and you're more of a proponent of it than I am, but when people do that and they form these little houses, now with the advent of AI, they don't need as much overhead, and so they can get more done.
Oh man, that makes me
I'm
want
gonna
to
leave it at that. I'm not gonna.
Well, I'm gonna say one thing.
I'm not gonna go full Billie Eilish on here right now. I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah, well, my thing with AI, this is the one thing that really bothered me. Like whenever Clear Obscure, whenever they at some point used AI for something, and even though there was nothing that was AI generated was in the final version of the game, they did some stuff to like help them out with some mock-ups and things like that. I don't know. Well, they used AI for something, but you have these studios, and one of the game awards, not the game awards, but some award for video games that they had that taken away from them. And it's like we always hear from the games media and these different sort of awards and programs and companies about how we need more independent developers. We need more independent voices in video games. We need more small games. We need more this. We need more innovation. You're killing it. You're killing it. You say, "Oh, well, you used AI for this. Well, you're not in contention for an award then." Oh, you used AI to help you randomly generate some of your environment. Well, fuck you then. Like you're silencing the game. You are silencing the very thing that you are advocating to come about. You are making the path for success even narrower for these people that are trying to do it. So if you got people that say like, "Hey, with the help of me and 11 of my friends and AI, we can make this game and get it out to people." But if we use AI, then we will have people that will refuse to cover it because we used AI. We won't be eligible for any awards. We won't be able to get the name of it out there. So we can't make it if we use AI. And if we don't use AI, I can't make it with me and my 11 friends. So then it just never gets made. That studio never gets off the ground. And there's a game that could have been awesome that just never sees the light of day. And it's because of this bullshit stuff where it's like, well, you used AI for any reason whatsoever and it's done. I think that's stupid. I think there are things where I don't want to have AI generated voices in a final game and all that shit. But there's ethical reasons, or there's ethical uses, there's unethical uses. And to just carte blanche, just say nope, you're out. I hate that.
For the record, in case you were wondering, all the stuff you just said, I'm absolutely behind you on. Absolutely. No, I do. Having experienced AI voices in a finished game, I am absolutely not for that. But I don't even mind AI coming up with plot devices, and as long as human beings are working the plot device, if an AI comes up with a general plot device, that's just inspiration, dude. That's muse. That's all that is. So that doesn't bug me at all. And I think of games. There's a game I play, and I've been playing it for years. It's probably been 4 or 5 years since this game came out, and it's got an avid following. But it was made by 16 people, and I think it was in one of the Scandinavian countries. It's called Astroneer.
I've heard the name.
And so it is a space game much like No Man's Sky on a super smaller scale, where the game starts off and you're in your rocket and it lands on a planet, and then your rocket transforms itself into a hab, so you can no longer use it as a rocket. So your first goal is getting enough resources to build another rocket. So that you
sounds
can
very
fly
much
to
like The
another planet.
Martian.
Yes. And here's what. So the game looks kind of cartoony, right? But the science in it is absolutely pure. You've got to use oxygen tethers to travel. You got to build 3D printers to use resin and print stuff that you're going to need. You got to build power generators to keep things running, and vehicles and gathering tools. But it was made by 16 people, and this was before AI. So I know there's a lot of people that are arguing that you can make a good game without it, but I guarantee you those 16 people are like, wonder how we could have come out of the gate better with it.
Oh, yeah.
And they could have, because it took a while
No
for
doubt.
them to catch on. And now they're to the point where they're a lot bigger because the game has just grown immensely. And now they're starting to sell out to the corporate machine. We're starting to get DLC packs and battle passes. And, and it's like, it's still good. And people are still going to buy all that stuff. But I'm still playing the baseline version, and I love it. I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's another thing, though. Talking about no, because that brings up yet another little chase a little rabbit real quick, because that's how we do it here. And you know what? Like I said, it's been a rough week. This is all about vibes this week.
We're hardcore. but we're casual.
And so the thing is, like, so you mentioned like the battle pass stuff like that. I am so sick of everything being exploited and penny, like just nickel and diamond everybody. So we have just this week. So first of all, I my I had a rough week. My brother's like been playing Final Fantasy 14, and he's like, "Hey, I saw that it was on your played list. Like, you want to play some together? Have you
I
played
did
it
the
before?"
same thing to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I was like, okay, well, actually, I jumped on. I didn't really know what was going on, and so I quit. And I realized once I tried to get on to play with them that it was whenever they were doing a thing where it's like it was free to play up until level whatever
70.
And I just never even got to that point. So now, and that's not a thing anymore. Now you have to buy it. And so I was going to go buy it, and it was like $20. And so I was like, okay, well, that's easy. And I'm still going to do it because I want to play with him. But I haven't done it yet. But I went to buy it, and then I saw that it said something like a free 30-day pass. And I was like, what? And then
subscription.
I hit him up, and I was like, is there a subscription for this? And he was like, yeah, there is, unfortunately. I'm like, I thought we were past that as a society.
Yeah.
And then, I'm a wrestling fan. And professional wrestling fan, and WWE 2K. I'm not a big fan of WWE. I'm an AEW guy, but I do like the WWE 2K games. And they've got WWE 2K26 is coming out, and they've already done some stuff that I really hated in that, where they have like the whole stupid thing that's been going on in Madden and NBA for a long time, where they'll have like the cards where you get
Ultimate Team.
Yeah, you get the cards and there's all this stuff, and I
Yeah.
hate that. They already had that in the WWE 2K games, and I was like, okay, this is stupid. I hate that. I just never played those aspects of it. And then they also had something called the Island, which is basically kind of like Fortnite, where you run around on it, and there's stuff to buy for actual money. And
In a wrestling game?
Yes. And then to top it all off, one thing that they had done throughout all these years is they would release these DLC packs. And it would be like each pack, you could buy this pack, and it would have, like 3 to 5 wrestlers that are from, some past era, or maybe they're new wrestlers that they weren't able to get into the game whenever it released, but they're new to the roster.
Right.
They get them in. That's all gone. They are now enacting a battle pass system on a WWE game. So a professional wrestling game will now have a battle pass system where you will have to unlock characters through a battle pass on a wrestling game. I'm just like, okay, we've gone too far. We've gone too far. I don't even know how we got here. It's like we had a little bit of a calm after loot boxes went away. And then all of a sudden, gambling starts making a rise on Roblox, and now we've got all this shit coming up here. I don't know what went wrong, but we have gone too far down this road.
Yeah, I blame it all on Genshin Impact.
Certainly
It
didn't
just
help
sounds
things.
It's just easier to blame it on them.
No, I think that I don't think you're all that far off. I mean, they were one where that was where the gotcha really started getting the screws put in, and it looked great, and it looked amazing.
Yeah, it does. If you're into that art style, yeah, it absolutely.
Well, I mean,
looks
just for what you
fantastic.
could do on a phone, like the fact that a phone could like run that was nuts.
Yes. Well, that was my first intro to that. I'd go to work, and like everybody that works for me was playing. I'm like, dude, can you put Genshin Impact away for 10 minutes and do your job? So yeah, and I feel like not necessarily maybe just that game, but there's been other games that have set what I call new standards that every other game is following. I remember when the Division 2 did not have a battle pass system, and now it does.
Yeah.
And they're doing it. They went the full Call of Duty route where they've got the battle pass and then the seasons.
Oh yeah.
Where you've got and then the event quit. So, and all three of them take different types of currency it's just ridiculous. Just play the game.
Yeah, it's ruining. I mean, that's one of the things that killed Destiny. I mean, it's still technically going, but was just this thing where they would release something, and granted, they would release an expansion. Okay, great, and so it wasn't like a straight up battle pass. But then they started doing stuff where, oh, well, the storylines for this expansion have a different currency, and so you're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, you got to have 5 helium orbs, and then you change those in for Ethereum rods, and then five helium orbs make 1 Ethereum rod, and then this who's a what, and then all this stuff to just get like so many coins to then finally get a gun or something like that. It's just too much. It's just too much.
And I think it ruins multiplayer gaming, especially in PvE type situations, because, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else of what I'm about to say, but you're out there and then it's like, okay, we're done with this quest. Let's go turn it in. And somebody's like, dude, I need to kill 2 more fuzzle blippers and 15 mangy dogs before we can head. And now we're just out there. I'm like, oh my God, can we,
It's like, all right, let's get another fuzzle blipper.
Yeah, we've all done it. We've all
fuzzle
I'll probably
blipped.
do it again tomorrow. But yeah, fuzzle blippers are a thing. But anyway, that I think it just kills multiplayer gaming in PvE, I think.
Well, and also
challenges and all that shit, man.
It's also this thing where, so it's something that we talked about before where it's like not everything can be a live service. Not every game can be a live service. You don't have to try to monetize every aspect of every game, and you don't need to expect every game to have players that are going to be on it all day, every day. But that's what's going on right now is first, like, they expect every game to be a live service. And then it's like, well, so not only do you have that, where it's like, okay, we've got a live service now, but it's like, there's only so much time that we have to dedicate. We can only play so many games at one time, especially most of these games are targeted towards, or a lot of these games are targeted towards like adults, especially something like The Division. That's not something that's geared towards fast twitch, 12-year-olds that are playing Call of Duty or whatever in their mom's basement.
Yeah.
So you have limited time, but then that's where they're like, oh, well, that's okay because you have limited time. Well, if you just buy this booster pack, then you can. It's like, oh my, it's like they try to prey on it, and they're like, oh, well, just spend $20 on top of the expansion you just bought, and then we'll boost that all up.
We'll give you the premium version of the expansion.
And so it's just like, man, can I just play my game? Can we just do that again? But it's like, yeah, everything is like, well, they want to monetize your time. You're like, well, I don't have any time for you to monetize. Like, okay, well, we'll monetize your lack of time so that you can still get where you want to go, and you just won't have to take as much time to do it. And I don't know, it just feels so predatory. And but some games are rightfully dying that way, which is also sad. Where you have a game, and most games are made by very passionate people. Yeah, they're making what they're told to make, and then it releases, and then obviously you like if these greedy companies, and they're going to be like, well, we expect to have 75,000 concurrent players on it at all times for years. It's just not going to happen. Only a few games are going to be 1 in 50, 60 games, maybe even more is going to be an Arc Raiders. You only get that and the rest of them just die. Years of work, and now it's dead. The servers are disconnected. It's over.
You said it best on one of our very first episodes when we were talking about Overwatch and Battleborn. Overwatch beat them to the punch. I felt like Battleborn was probably a better game. I got to play a demo of it. It felt good to me. I played Overwatch. It wasn't really blowing my socks off, but Overwatch beat them to the punch, man. A lot of times it's who beats who to the punch or what the initial social media reaction is. If you got people burning your title, I don't care how good. There's been plenty of games that were fantastic that got murdered out of the gate and never made it back.
Yeah, as we've said before, if you are chasing a trend, you've already missed it because as long as it takes to create a game, if you're like, hey, Arc Raiders is doing something really cool, we should do that. Well, by the time your game releases, there's going to be so many games that have released with that, so you're either going to be way behind the ball or you're going to rush so that you can get out there quick and your game's going to suck because it's going to be a buggy, broken mess.
Yeah, and Arc Raiders caught that stride. Same thing with Clair Obscur. They hit a stride and caught a gap in there where what they introduced was new. And it was it was entertaining to people, and it was artsy, and we've reached an era where people are just artsier. And it's just like what we talked about with space is going to be, and pardon the pun, the new frontier this year for TV and movies and games. And it's, we went through that fantasy era where everything was Lord of the Ringsy, and then we hit superhero era.
Let's not forget zombies.
And then everybody's got the hero fatigue. We had zombies in there just for good measure, and now we're on the space phase, which for me is great. I'm going to ride that one. But,
well, it's like, whenever we had the zombies, you got something like Days Gone, which is an absolutely incredible game. If you have not played Days Gone, could not recommend more highly that you play Days Gone to anybody that listens to this. They just released it at a bad time. It was oversaturated, and it just didn't make it. But speaking of space, what cracks me up, because every time I think of these guys, it kind of makes me laugh, because I know this is not what they expected. But what's funny is, like, as we go on to this thing now where space is going to be this thing where, everything's going to be coming out in space for, the next few years, is Owlcat Games, man. Like, they were just making a game that they wanted to make. They didn't know that they were going to be at the forefront of this thing. And I can just see them at the front of this speeding train, just like, what have we gotten ourselves into? We didn't want to be this. We weren't trying to lead something. It's like, comes back to all eyes on them. It's like they are it's a mix between good and bad luck. Like, it's great luck because, man, they are striking down on, like, they're just hitting like so many things where it's like you're coming in on Mass Effect whenever Mass Effect can't even be Mass Effect anymore. You're coming in on space whenever we're deprived of good space sims. You're coming in on The Expanse, which is something that has only gotten more. Like, people love it even more now that it's had more time to get out there and get exposure. You're doing all these things, and they just wanted to make something they were passionate about, and then that trailer comes out, and all of a sudden they're like, we've got to actually get a lot more staff. Like, we have like hit a vein. We need a bigger boat.
Yeah, we need PR people. We need catering services. We're gonna need a lot of stuff. So yeah. Absolutely.
Well, so anyway, so that was Samson, a Tyndalston Story.
I told you before the show, I was like, I think this game is going to spawn a ridiculous amount of conversation.
Yeah, but that's what we're about here. We say, we are the conversation at the table behind you. That was how we conceived of this idea, was just talking at the bar, man, talking at 9:03. And, just enjoying the conversation and having a beer. And, like, man, wouldn't it be fun to just include others in that conversation? So today is about as pure of that idea as it gets here.
Yeah, and this has already been one of my favorite episodes. So that's awesome.
This is what we do every. We have like a mug club day, and we just drink beer, talk games and movies.
So to get onto some shit news,
to bring everybody's mood down.
I've got to disclaimer this, because this will be the first time I'm bringing up, or I'm introducing this topic. And that topic is Ubisoft. And I need to say something. I am an avid fan of Ubisoft. In fact, a lot of people would say I'm a Ubisoft slut, because I play The Division, and I play all the Assassin's Creed games, and I play For Honor, and I love Prince of Persia, and I used to
Far Cry.
like Rainbow Six. No, I'm not a Far Cry guy though. I play Ghost Recon religiously still, and I love what that company tries to do. My problem
that is a good way to put it.
Just like any family member, you love them, but you can still get super pissed off at them, or even a good friend. And Ubisoft is that good friend that you absolutely can get pissed at. And they've faltered a lot lately, more than they've succeeded. They succeeded in some areas. What they're doing with the Division 2 is absolutely amazing. The content we're still getting on that game on a regular basis is amazing. It does blow my mind we have not got a PS5 version of that game yet.
Yeah, we've said it so many times that
it still looks gorgeous running on a PS5. The PS4 version still looks great.
Yeah, I will say if we didn't tell you that it was not a PlayStation 5 version and we just had somebody download it and play it, you
Yeah.
would think it was a PlayStation 5 game.
You absolutely would. That being said, I've got a couple of Ubisoft stories where they did not succeed.
Been a lot
The
of those
first
this
one-
month.
The first one was premiered here, which was The Division, the definitive edition, which turns out it's absolutely real. It's not a rumor. It's not fake news. It's not somebody just throwing up posters at that Japan FPS show. It's real, except
Oh,
there's no
see,
changes.
I was like, I was like, it's not good because
There's no changes. It's absolutely just The Division with all the DLC. And what differentiates it from the gold edition of The
I was about to
Division.
say, didn't they already do that?
Yeah. The gold edition is The Division plus all the DLC. This one is The Division plus all the DLC plus all of the cosmetics. Every single cosmetic that they ever made for the game.
So anybody that actually spent any money on all those cosmetics over time, yeah, now look at you.
Yeah. I don't know how many times, hey, man, let's open another box. And he threw one up on the table and it's like, you got a duplicate item, so we're going to give you some key fragments.
That's so weird, though. That's such a weird thing. But
Yeah.
still, no PS5 upgrade.
Yeah, correct. No PS5 upgrade. But
Wow.
that was the first news story, and I'm just going to go ahead and kill this one right here because that was that one, and there's nothing more really to say about it. So
It's just a wet
much
fart of
ado-
an announcement.
Much ado about nothing, and
Yeah, that sucks.
It's kind of upsetting. The second piece, and this could potentially turn into a tangent, but so Ubisoft has been wanting to make all the Assassin's Creeds going forward multiplayer co-op. Which the only one we got close to that was Unity. But the first one was going to be called Assassin's Creed League, AC League. And it has reportedly already been canceled. And I'm sure this is probably more of the fallout, pardon the pun, of what we talked about a couple episodes ago. But yeah, it's already reportedly canceled. So I don't know what the future of that game is, or B, the future of the multiplayer co-op idea in all the other Assassin's Creeds.
Just given the recent attempts that Assassin's Creed has put into various projects, I am actually happy to hear that was canceled. I fear that they would have gone about it in all of the wrong ways, because as we have said numerous times, Ubisoft always learns the wrong. lesson with an overabundance of feedback. So we've talked about it before about how we could see a really cool way to do multiplayer in a Ubisoft game or in an Assassin's Creed game. I just don't have any confidence that they would do that. I think they would do something the other direction. I think they would do a poor implementation of a multiplayer. So the fact that got canceled, I'm actually happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm not upset about that game being canceled. I hope it doesn't kill the idea of multiplayer co-op, because it's something I've always wanted in Assassin's
I just hope it makes
Creed.
them rethink how they should go about it.
Correct, yeah.
Because I bet it was going to be horrible. I bet it was not a well thought out implementation.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Absolutely.
Was there any more from Ubisoft, or are those?
That was it. I'm going to take it easy on them tonight, and that be all. But still, I mean, that's, one's a letdown because I expected more from the definitive edition of the original game, and the other one speaks bad omens for the future for Assassin's Creed. So
This is another one where it's like, if that's all it was, like if it's with the definitive edition of Division 2, if that's all it was, they went about this in such a wrong way that they made it worse for themselves. Because what you had showed, you brought it to, like you said, a couple episodes ago, you brought to the show that there was it was Japan, right? Where they had the FPS show, where they had the FPS show, and there was no announcement, there was no demo, there was no trailer, but there were posters. hanging on the walls at this show for the definitive edition of the Division 2. And so everybody was wondering, like, what's going on? Is like, are we getting something? Are we finally getting like that much wanted PlayStation 5 version? And we talked about it. So it's like, but if this is all it was going to be, if all it was going to be was the gold edition and all the cosmetics,
Yeah.
you did this wrong. You should have just announced it and then advertised it. Dropping like the posters and saying nothing makes people expect that it's going to be something that you are not planning to deliver. If it's going to be a wet fart kind of thing like this, you just announce it and be like, hey, by the way, we're releasing a new edition. It's going to have all the cosmetics, whatever. Instead, it felt like it was going to be some sort of like kind of, viral campaign, or where they were going to try to like subliminally like tease things and got people going. And we were excited because we like you said, we want a PlayStation 5 version. We're eager to hear more details about the Division 3, and then just nothing. They brought this on themselves. They brought this on themselves.
What kills me the most, the people that are passionate about this franchise, and this could be said of any franchise, they had to know. I mean, they had to know if these posters got hung without any details that it was going to send people into a high-pitched fever dream, dude. Like, what could this possibly... This could be a lot of things, man. We could get upgraded graphics versions. We could get new content on an old game.
Yeah.
So many things. And it turns out to be literally nothing.
Yeah, just basically a different SKU for the exact same thing that everybody's already playing.
The worst part is people that play the original Division, we already have all of it.
Or a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they'll do another thing where they'll have the definitive edition, and then for those that already own the game but want the cosmetics, where they'll have like a $20 DLC thing where you can get all the cosmetics or something like that. But I don't know. It just seems like such a waste. Like, at this point, like, how many people do you think there are that either know about the Division but haven't taken a leap yet, or didn't know about the Division and now they're going to play it? Like, how many more players do you think there are out there for this game without a PlayStation 5 version of it or something like that? Like, how many more times? You're not Skyrim. I love the Division 2, but you're not Skyrim.
So here's the thing. If you're a kid and your friends play it, then they're playing the second one, not the first one. And they're going to tell that kid, tell your mom and dad to get the second one. If you're us, we're also going to tell you to get the second one because it added feature sets that aren't in the first one. And I love the first one. Yeah. I wish the setting for the first one was actually the second one.
Well, and I was about to say that was another thing that you had speculated, like, hey, maybe it is, since like you said, since they brought the map from the first game into the second, maybe it's a thing where it's like a package deal where they're merging the two into one sort of seamless experience. Nope. All these things that it could have been, that they could have done, that really could have gotten interest. Nope.
And man, they're going to sell some copies. I know that
they'll
sell copies on Steam just because of not what they think, what I think. It'll be lower than what I think it's going to be. But, they're going to move some copies, but it's going to be nothing near, which is why I don't think they wasted a lot of time with advertising and hype. Literally, the only show this poster appeared at was that Japan FPS. Not Gamescom, didn't bring it up at the Game Awards. I mean, Tokyo Game Show went by without it. So, yeah. Yeah, they didn't waste a lot of money on it.
So disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, do you have any other game stuff?
I don't.
Okay. I don't know what order you wanted to attack the different media stuff in, but I am an impatient man today, and I just gotta know.
Let's roll with it.
I want to know. I know that you have started the One Piece live action series on Netflix, and I am very curious to know your thoughts on it.
Okay, so that on my TV section of my notes, that's the last one. That is not foretelling of how I felt about it. So you challenged me to take up the mantle and watch the One Piece TV show on Netflix. I accepted the challenge. I am 3.5 episodes in. I didn't stop midway, just so people know, I didn't stop midway through the 4th episode because I hated it. I ended up having to do something else, so I had to stop watching. But so here's the thing, and I'm going to go kind of in order somewhat. I went into this with no knowledge. I had heard the term One Piece before. I knew it was an anime thing. I was worried about it from an anime standpoint because, as I mentioned before, my anime piece is mecha. It's all mech related, and this is not mech related. However, I love pirates. I love everything to do with pirates. I love all types of different kinds of pirates. If they sell their game right, I'll buy it. But so
as long as it's not Skull and Bones.
as long as it's not Skull and Bones, correct. So this show, and I'm gonna butcher names all through this thing, I can tell you right now. But the Monkey D, is it Luffy?
Luffy, yep.
So at first he bugged the shit out of me. I'm just gonna tell you. However, I loved his little kid that could story at the beginning. Growing up amongst other pirates and that piece, that part I enjoyed very. Also, Ian McShane as your narrator is. In fact, I texted you and said, "Hey,
yes,
starting off with Ian McShane as your narrator is a solid start." I also noticed
never a bad idea to include Ian McShane in your project.
I also noticed other people in the show that have played in roles that I've actually liked. Vincent Regan was one of them. He plays Monkey D. Garp. If you recognize his face, he was like Brad Pitt's in Troy. He was like Achilles' right-hand man. He was also Leonidas' right-hand man in 300. I liked his character. The one guy, dude, though, that he tries to and I'm assuming he's going to recruit him on his crew, is the guy that plays Roronoa Zoro,
yes.
Dude, that dude is badass.
Yeah,
okay, so
Zoro's awesome.
He is my favorite character so far, even more than the main character, which I typically am not a big fan of main characters anyway. It's always supporting characters I end up liking more. I don't know how I feel about, is it Nami?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about her yet, but as far as pirate stories go, they're not breaking a lot of new ground. They're just doing it in a unique way. And, I like the whole idea of it's a completely fictional world. And it's so over the top. And you said something when we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago that it does camp right. Yes, it's campy, but it absolutely works for that show, and I think a lot of that has to do with Luffy. He sells camp very well, and he's got these powers, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody that hasn't watched it. He's got these powers, but it's almost like he's the one that doesn't care that he's got powers. He's like, I can catch a cannonball with my bare body and shove it back at you at 10 times the force.
But it's also a power that, like, unless you're an avid reader of something like Fantastic Four or whatever, it's a power, but it's like one that whenever you first think about it, you don't think it's like overpowered. You're like, okay, right, he can do a thing, but it doesn't seem like at first you wouldn't think like that he could really do all that much with it.
Right. But I like that everybody on that crew is very, very different.
Yes.
Or that people that he's recruiting, and I think that's going to bring them all together. I think it's going to make for a very strong bouncing back and forth between the characters. I am going to finish this season because I do like it. I will say this, it has not blown my socks off yet at any particular moment.
Okay, but so you have not gone into anybody's backstory yet other than Monkey D. Luffy's, right? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Then I look forward. I look forward to your feedback in another week or two.
Yeah, I look forward to that too, because right now it's just the story that I'm interested in watching more of.
So that is what got me was, I watched it, and like you said, it is a very campy pirate story, and it's one of these. It's so weird, which is one of the reasons that I was so resistant to watching it at first, was because again I'm not a big anime guy, and I like you, I had heard the name One Piece. My son was a big fan of the manga and the anime, but I wasn't familiar with it. And then I saw the trailers and all this stuff, and I just saw it's like so campy. And, I was like, I'm not going to do it. But then, it got really great reviews, and my son said it was really great. And so I was like, okay, so I watch it. And then, it's very campy. It's very over the top, but it somehow works. And I mean, it's so weird. You've got stuff where it's like, you've got people wearing wooden clogs and stuff like that. Yeah. But you also have people wearing what look like Nike Dunks, like it's some parts of it. It's very dated, like you would expect to see a pirate show to be, and then there's parts of it that seem very modern. It's such a weird mix of stuff.
It's eclectic, to be sure.
Yeah, but the thing that really floored me was whenever I finally got to the point of learning about the characters. That is where this property and Oda, the creator, like where it really sings. That's what hooked me, was whenever you finally start to learn the backgrounds of these characters. And it is so well written, so well developed. They are emotional. They are heart-wrenching. Like, it is crazy. And so the characters that you like, you're going to like them even more. The characters that you start to hate, I don't know, maybe you won't hate them anymore. It becomes this thing when somebody does something and you're like, why would they do that? Well, you'll find out why they would do something like that. And then maybe you'd think, well, maybe, you know what? I was judging them for that decision, but maybe I would have done the same thing in their position. It becomes about how the past informs the present, and it's done so well. That is what hooked me on One Piece, and it hooked me to such a degree that I'm now watching the anime that has over 1,000 episodes, because I wanted more of that feeling in going forward. And so far I'm getting it. That's what I'm doing now. And so yeah, the show is a fantastic way to get introduced into that feeling, that vibe, into Oda's creation.
And folks, I got to tell you, for a show that I wouldn't have thought would have been able to draw a cast, some of the supporting actors are some of the biggest names in TV too. Like, you got Katie Seagal from Sons of Anarchy and Married with Children, if I'm not mistaken. David Dostalamakian is in it. Joe Manganiello's in it. One of my I don't know if you watched this. Did you watch Heroes back in the day?
Yes. I mean, not all the way to the end. I watched quite a few. I watched it until everybody started having a clone, I think, is whenever I fell off.
Yeah, there you go. That's the end. So they've got the guy, and I'm going to butcher his name, Sindel Ramamurthy, that played Mohinder in Heroes. He's in it. Clive Russell, that played the Blackfish in Game of Thrones, is in it. So I'm looking forward, because I haven't even met all these characters yet, but definitely looking forward to meeting some of them. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks I'll have that first season done. But yeah, you're right. It's a show with a pull.
And it's one of those which it's so weird. Like, and some stuff, you got to respect it, where it doesn't even explain it. It's like, oh, this is what happens. I'm not going to explain it to you. And that's like, there's one part where I was just like, I remember when I was like, what just happened? And that was like somebody, I think you've already seen, I think it's pretty early on, but somebody picks up a snail on one ship and talks into it, and somebody's talking to a snail somewhere else, and they have a conversation, and and it's not a phone that is shaped like a snail. It's a snail.
It's a snail.
It is a live snail, and they put it down, and they don't explain why that worked. They don't explain why people are talking through snails, but they do. And, so you're just like, okay, so that's just something I accept now, is that those snails can be used as phones.
Yeah, that's like sending stones in Dungeons and Dragons, where they have the rocks where they're like, yeah, are you here yet? No, I'm not here yet. Okay. And then they just hang up.
Well, Well, so hold on to that thought because I'm very much looking forward to seeing how your perspective and outlook develops as you continue to go through the live action show. But I don't want to try to take control of the order that you crafted. However, you did bring up Dungeons and Dragons. Perhaps you might want to move on and talk about that show.
Okay, so we already know that there's a Forgotten Realms TV show in the works on Netflix, which Netflix's track record on stuff is hit or miss is probably a conservative term for it.
Yeah,
So I'm kinda
we're probably at 30-70 as far as hit-miss ratio.
Yeah. So, and it worries me because I love the Forgotten Realms. That any campaign I've ever ran or been a part of has been in the Forgotten. Well, I did run a Spelljammer one time, but that's for another time. But I love the Forgotten Realms. All my favorite books in actual books in the D&D series are all Forgotten Realms based. So I'm worried about the Netflix show. Oddly enough, a show was greenlit either today or earlier this week. And for some reason, I have like zero concerns. And a lot of it's because it's coming to HBO, which means it'll be a no holds barred. They'll be able to do whatever they want on the show. And Netflix could too, but HBO is kind of known for it.
Yeah, Netflix, even though they seem a lot more reserved about doing it, and about actually pulling that trigger.
In fact, I felt like Altered Carbon season
that was
1
exactly
like,
what I was gonna say because they pulled that trigger hard in season 1.
They
and then
squeezed
season
the trigger
2,
all
it
the
was
way
like
through.
it was on CBS.
Yes. Yeah, maybe worse than CBS did. Maybe. I'm not going to go as far as to say it was on Lifetime, but I mean, it was pretty close.
Yeah, like Hallmark Channel.
Yeah. So, but anyway, long story short, HBO greenlit a show for Baldur's Gate, specifically based on the world of Baldur's Gate 3, the video game. And the show is rumored to, actually it's not rumored, they flat out said it's going to take place where the game ends. Now that's going to bring up a lot of discussions, as it did in my own household when I mentioned it to my son. Because as he, and it's D&D, so D&D's always been more like a which way novel than anything else. Yeah. There's no canon ending to Baldur's Gate.
It's also, not only are there like multiple endings, there's all kinds of endings for like every character. You can have, there's so many characters, and each one can, you can do a playthrough and you might have only had a handful of people survive, I
started a playthrough where I didn't, at the beginning, if you don't know, folks, you're on the beach and you're kind of gathering your crew, your party, and the beach is kind of an intro area, so I'm not really spoiling anything. But there's a portal where one character is kind of stuck in it. One character is kind of stuck in it, and his name is Gale. And I started a playthrough where I didn't even go to the portal to get him out. And I have already made it well past the part where I think I can even get him
Were you consciously avoiding him, or was this like your first playthrough and you didn't even know he was there? Okay, you were consciously avoiding him.
I consciously avoided it just because I wanted to see.
Yeah, there are multiple companions that you can just not get.
I've heard stories of people that when Lizelle's in the cage and they killed her, and so she's not even a part of that story. So not having one of your main characters from your party is gonna make an impact on your story. So I wonder which direction they're going with what they're considering the ending of the game. And I told my son they'll do what Hollywood always does. They'll decide what their canon ending is. And I imagine they'll talk to Larian Studios and go, hey, if you guys could have had a canon ending for this, what would it have been? And probably roll with that.
Yeah, and as we were talking about before the show, and this could stand for numerous characters from the game, but of all the ones that it would apply to, I think at the top of that list is Astarion. You have to have that voice actor play Astarion. That I just can't see it any other. He's so good. He developed that character. That's all him. Like, the dude is not just a voice actor. He also acts in other things. He acts in TV and movies. That dude's got to be Astarion.
Neil Newbon.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Astarion isn't really like based off of him visually. He doesn't visually like resemble Astarion all that much, really. But it
Right.
doesn't matter. That dude is Astarion. He mocapped him. He voiced him. It's got to be him.
Yeah, and I'm looking over the cast list now, and I think there are some characters they can get away with replacing the voice actor from, but some of the ones that stick out with me is obviously Jennifer English as Shadowheart. And I feel like they kind of did model the face after her because it looks a lot like her. And then also Deborah Wild as Lizelle. I really feel like they have to go with those. But like you look at Karlach, and yeah, they could use Samantha Barrett, sure. But you could probably go with somebody like Gina Carano, could probably pull off Karlach fairly well.
Yeah. Or I mean, and then there's characters like Gale or Will, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
they were there, but it wasn't like, the voices like didn't really sell it. They didn't embody that. Like, it's just like, okay, anybody can play Gale, anybody can play Will, like that. Don't have the same attachment to some of those kinds of characters,
And that's where I feel sorry too for Matthew Mercer, because he deserves to be in this show. And I mean, he deserves to be in the other one too, Forgotten Realms on Netflix. But
Although
the
even if he's
voice
not, I'm sure he's going to be just fine.
the voice he did for Baldur's Gate was Minsk, and he looks nothing like Minsk, unfortunately. Minsk is, shall we say, hair follically challenged, completely bald, whereas Matthew Mercer looks like a 80s member of Bon Jovi.
It's one of his like signature traits is
Yeah.
his hair.
Yeah, so
If they just all you saw was his hair and the fact that and painted fingernails. If all you saw was like if that should be his logo, is like hair, painted fingernails. That's Matt Mercer.
but like I could see somebody like, Vanessa Kirby playing Minthara.
Oof, that'd be a good
I
one.
think that would to me that would be
I think that'd be
great
a
call.
solid choice.
Obviously I'm biased.
I know,
but,
and you're a big fan of hers. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Vanessa Kirby, and when I saw Minthara in the game, I was like, that's Vanessa Kirby. So anyway, but I do that a lot when I see characters, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I know who would play that guy. So
Well, whenever I
but
read
yeah,
a book, that's the first thing I do to help me visualize as a shortcut. Because I always like to play the books that I read in my head. I like to envision everything.
Yeah.
One of my shortcuts is I think of actors. Like, what actor do I think would be good in this? And
oh
just
yeah,
put 'em in.
absolutely. But I was sitting there thinking too, a lot of like old school D&D people that grew up on the 3.5 rule set, which is still the gold standard. They grew up reading R.A. Salvatore's Legend of Drizzt series, the Dark Elf Ranger, and we still have never got a Drizzt series, and which would be wonderful if they did it right, and they picked the right person to play Drizzt. But I'm still excited for what D&D's doing and how they're moving forward, and at least even trying to get this stuff is a success, man. That's a win.
Yeah.
Because selling fantasy franchises to big screen and silver screen is hard to do. It's not the easiest thing in the world to pull off.
We were talking about how space is the next frontier, as you said.
Yeah.
But coming up, I wonder if we're finally going to kind of get the fantasy resurgence in TV and movies again, because they're like Game of Thrones. It was like coming up, and it was going to be like, hey, everything's going to be sword and sorcery fantasy, and then we got Witcher, and then they killed Witcher. They killed The Witcher, and they ruined it. They could have had something just as big or bigger than Game of Thrones, and they killed it. And then obviously Game of Thrones killed Game of Thrones. And then it's kind of cooled off. But now as we kind of got this stuff coming back, and there's more Game of Thrones that doesn't sour the audience's outlook on it, and we're seeing more of these things that are being successful. I wonder if we're kind of like getting that going again, where we are going to get more of these sort of like sword and sorcery fantasy settings.
I think I'll be honest with you, and I know I'm going to get psychologically into some deep territory here, but I think this is the way life is going. People look for that loss of reality. You know what I mean? They look for that escape. And yeah, there's shows out there like The Pit that is absolutely wonderful. But still, that's, you're living in the real world in that show.
Mhm.
And so I think, I brought up space, and I think that's definitely going to be the mainstream for the next couple years. But
For games especially.
yeah, but fantasy is not. It's not going to go for broke here, man. I think they'll have some decent outings as well, and could. And it looks like, judging by what we're seeing greenlit at streaming services, that's the way they're going. So, yeah, I mean, Forgotten Realms, there's no better place to start after Lord of the Rings than what is the undisputed second purveyor of fine fantasy lore out there, which is D&D. So anyway,
Well, we'll see. I'm excited because I've heard, I haven't watched any of it yet, but the new HBO show I've heard good things about. I've heard a lot of really positive stuff, and so I'm like, okay, well, I'll have to put that on my list to go back and watch that. So I'm hearing a lot of stuff coming up.
that's weird because I was going to use the Baldur's Gate show.
Weird.
Segue. So you set it up swimmingly. On my
Well,
dad.
Do tell me about Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
So, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, watched the third episode. So, the episodes are released on Sundays at 9 p.m. For our time zone.
It seems like anytime they have like a new show, that's like it's always Sundays at 9.
But they kind of got dicked over this weekend because the Super Bowl happens on Sunday. Go Patriots.
Was it 10-inch dicked over or?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about getting completely dicked over. But because the Super Bowl this weekend, we're actually getting the episode tomorrow night. Episode 4.
Okay.
So super excited about that. Not 10-inch excited, but sort of excited. Semi chub.
The table is not raising from the excitement, but
and folks, whatever you've heard about this show from a graphic standpoint is 100% true. Yes, within the first 5 minutes of the first episode, a man explosively shits. Right where you can see it happen. So, I mean, I'm not saying you're on the side of seeing it happen. You're not all up in there, but you're just like, oh my God.
You're not in a hidden camera kind of scenario, but you're closer than you want to be. Yeah.
You're like, I did not need to see that. And then in the second episode, when he's telling the story of Sir Arlen Pennytree, or as I call him, Sir Arlen Roll of Quarters, within the first 60 seconds. He drops the biggest prosthetic schlong since Boogie Nights with Mark Wahlberg. And so we got to deal with that. But excluding those two things, this show is very, very good. And I'm going to tell you why. First off, it takes place smack dab in between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. So in House of the Dragon, obviously Targaryens still have dragons. You can see where that is starting to fade off, but they still have quite a few dragons in House of the Dragons. And then when we get to Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Targaryens' dragons are gone. There's no more dragons. So the Targaryens are trying to learn how to rule without their big leverage point, because beforehand it was show up at somebody else's castle and go bend the knee, or see these guys behind us right here? We're going to melt you to slag.
So are they trying to rule specifically, or are they trying to figure out how do we make people fear us if we don't have dragons?
Little bit of both.
Okay.
But where we are in the story and where we are in the Targaryen family tree right now, King Baelor is the king. And he's a good dude, man. He's not, he's not this evil, lecherous, prick like most of them are. So he's a good dude. So I think he just rules from the fact that he's good to people for the most. He's fair. I'm not going to say good. He's fair. And there's a big difference. His brother is his right-hand man, Maekar, and his brother's a prick. But his brother's also fair, but he's a prick. Then we've got our main character, which is Dunk, or Sir Duncan the Tall. So I aptly named. He was the squire for Sir Arlen Pennytree. He's technically not a knight, but he shows up at his first tournament in Ashford and calls himself a knight. And there's a term for people like him because he's not of noble birth. They call them hedge knights because they basically camp out in the hedges, and they don't have houses and huts. And he sleeps under a tree when all the other knights have entourages and tents and all that stuff set up. And he meets on his way to this tournament. He stumbles into an inn, and he meets one drunk kid and one little bald kid out in the stable, and that's Egg. And Egg has a story, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, even though these books have been out for years. Most people actually have not read any of the Game of Thrones books. They've just relied on HBO for all their Game of Thrones knowledge. But I'm not giving away the story of Egg, but Egg becomes Dunk's squire. And that dude, to quote Woody Harrelson, speaking of what's his name in Zombieland, that dude is a peppy little spitfuck. So he's got his own way of humor. They both do, and their relationship, even only 3 episodes in, has been fun to watch evolve. If you're still looking for that Game of Thrones brutality when it comes to violence, it's there. It's just in small doses. And to be fair, all we're doing right now is we're at a jousting tournament. So all the violence is stemming from that. But it is definitely exactly what HBO said it was, which this is a more soft-hearted, easier approach to the world that George R. R. Martin created. And George R. R. Martin has often said that his favorite of his writings were the stories of Dunk and Egg.
So this is the thing where it's like, before it was always like everything, it was always on edge. It was deceit and treachery, and your favorite character could die at any moment and all that. This is far more of a thing where you just enjoy the story. You don't have to worry so much about, somebody getting decapitated in front of your eyes without warning or anything like that. It's more about the journey than it is the shock and awe of it all.
It is absolutely the journey. It's a young man, albeit a huge, tall young man. It's his coming of age, man. It's his, trying to figure the world out, because he didn't know anything other than being squire to Sir Arlen Pennytree. So he's trying to learn how to haggle with people and how to interact with people and how to be part of a social gathering and not try to stand out, just try to be there. And that's a cool thing to watch. And you don't see that a lot in a television show. And this is a lot grittier and dirtier. We're not in King's Landing, and we're not in Winterfell, and we're not in any of those famous places yet. We're literally on the road.
Nobody is playing the proverbial Game of Thrones. No one has any shot at a throne.
And oddly enough, we don't even get the theme music at all.
Ever. Oh, wow. They don't even try to, not even a remix or
no. The HBO thing's like, one, and it's like, shh, and then the show starts.
Oh, so there's no intro whatsoever of any kind.
No.
Wow. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, so it's a very unique show, and it's short format. So you're talking about 30-minute episodes for the
Really?
most part.
I did not know that.
Yeah, the first episode I think is 43 minutes maybe, but most of them have, give or take, 28 to 32 minutes.
Wow. That is unexpected. You don't usually see that a lot, especially for something that's not a comedy.
Yeah, and the funny thing is now that I'm into it, it's like, now I wish they were 40-minute or 50-minute episodes, and I'm not going to.
See, that's how I was feeling for the Splinter Cell stuff on Netflix.
Oh, right?
Where I was like, I really could have used another 15, 20 minutes of that.
Yeah, could have kept this one going for a while. But, yeah. So anyway, man, yeah, you definitely need to watch it. I think it's fantastic. I haven't even read anything on what critics are saying.
I haven't, I've been avoiding spoilers or anything like that, but all I've heard has been positive. I haven't heard anybody, say anything bad. I've heard some people say this is it's making fantasy. I think that was the Critical Drinkers. The whole thing was that that's making fantasy heroic again.
Yeah, and having read the novellas that this show, it's actually has not deviated, which has been a shocker to me, or at least it hasn't deviated from my memory of the novellas. Everything seems to be happening in order, the way it actually happened in the book, and I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there's probably some creative liberties in there somewhere, but I don't feel like there is.
Yeah.
Which to me is the most important thing. I mean, anybody's most important thing is their own perspective. So I feel like I'm getting the story that I read. which is
Nice.
good.
Yeah, I will definitely have to get on it.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the show that's supposed to be the end to help us cure superhero fatigue, which is not fulfilling that promise to me, although it does have moments, and that is Wonder Man, which I can already see you're biting your tongue, and I'm gonna let you go after it. I don't
Well,
know if you've seen it or heard
I have
anything
seen it.
about it.
I have seen the trailers. So first of all, I do not think that superhero fatigue is a thing. We comics have been going on for quite some time. Now
I
granted
think
they
that's
have
their way of masking
exactly.
bad
It's
superhero
it's
movies.
bad. It's bad movie fatigue.
I have bad
TV show
superhero fatigue.
Yes, exactly. That's what fantasy stuff. Everybody still makes fantasy like zombie. These all do well if you do them right. But if you do a whole bunch of really shitty ones, people are going to stop going to them, and that's what it. So it's bad movie fatigue is what we're experiencing from Marvel. Nobody's tired of superheroes. They're tired of bad movies, and particularly bad superhero movies. But the thing that I saw of Wonder Man made it look like some weird, like artsy, unfunny comedy, who are the people that did the oh gosh, what are the name of those two brothers that do these comedies that everybody loves and I freaking hate them?
Coen
Like
brothers?
the Coen brothers. God, like it looked like the Coen brothers doing an A24 comedy movie. Like it looked awful. It looked awful. So
And,
I don't.
you know,
I don't know.
I gotta tell you.
I have not seen anything that has made me optimistic about this one.
I like Yahya Abdul Mateen. I like who the characters he plays in stuff, and nothing but mad respect for Sir Ben Kingsley. Even as Trevor Slattery, I think he's fantastic.
They should have never changed that in Iron Man 3. They should have continued to let him be the imposing terrorist, from the first movie. They should have never let him become the actor. That's still I hate that.
I love how, and when I say I love how, I actually mean the opposite of. I love how they tried to over-explain that in Shang-Chi to try to retcon that whole mess. But both of those actors I like a lot, and this show is different, Russ. This is not. I mean, it's Marvel trying to do artsy fartsy, and I get that. So we're basically in an age where this guy Mateen is trying to get cast into a TV show called Wonder Man because it was something he grew up watching with his dad. But he's a powered individual. And there's a new I guess it's called the doorman clause, where if you have superpowers, you're not allowed to act anymore. And that was a result of this week's episode, which is a flashback to why that's a thing.
Oh, wait.
now.
I didn't realize. This is how much I was checked out. I did not realize that Wonder Man had been released.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the trailers that they had put out, which I had hated. I didn't even realize that it was out now.
Not only that, they're not releasing it one episode per week. They've released them all.
Okay, that at this point, especially given that is a sign of no confidence.
Yeah, that's absolutely a sign of no confidence. There are things to be happy about with this show, though. The way they're going through it and the people they meet, and like Josh Gad is in this playing Josh Gad, and Joe Pantoliano is in this playing Pantoliano.
Joey Pants.
Yeah. So, and apparently in this story, Trevor Slattery missed out on a role to Pantoliano. So it's a whole weird dynamic they got going on. But there are things to be excited about this show. What kills me the most is they could have just made this show and it not be a Marvel property. They could have just made this show as a show. And I think it would have worked better for some reason. I don't know. I'll see what you think about if you try watching it, and let me know what you think. But
I'll give it a shot. I just don't have. I'm not optimistic about it.
Yeah, just go into it with an open mind, and if your mind closes halfway through the first episode, please know I'll absolutely understand. It's different. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, it's like, so the trailers that I saw, it, like I said, it looked very much like like they were trying to do a comedy, but like the trailer looked like an A24 trailer. You know, that sort of like artsy.
That part I definitely get. That's how it's filmed.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
filmed
Because
like that.
it's like this sort of like grainy-ish kind of look, sort of low budget. You know, everything was kind of like a sepia tone almost kind of thing over it. Everything's kind of like brown and yellow. You know, as far as the tones, it's very warm. And yeah, I was like, this looks like an A24 trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, the apartments and houses that they visit all look like straight out of the late 70s.
Is it in it? No, it can't, because it's Trevor's in it, so it's got to be current
Yeah.
day. And if Josh Gad's Josh Gad, okay, so it's
Yeah. So let me say this too. Is it weird, or would you understand if I said I don't know if I like it or not?
I wouldn't say
don't
it's
know if I
weird. I
like
would
it or
understand, but
don't
I would
like
also
it.
say that that's a bad sign.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you on that either. But it's weird that I don't know if I like it, but I know that.
I can imagine it being a thing where you could also say, like, I like the show. I wish they hadn't tried to do something like this with Marvel, like, and shoe it into Marvel. Like, I wish that,
Yes.
like, maybe
That's
it's
it.
a cool concept. I just wish they hadn't tried to attach it to this.
Yes, and that's it. That's the thing. I still think they could have brought up Marvel characters if they wanted, because they're using real movie stars, without it being an actual an MCU style project. Plus, I don't know where they're going. That's the other part. Is normally when you watch a show, even if you don't get all the story beats right, you can kind of see where a show is going.
Yeah.
I have no idea where this show is going, dude. One episode to the next, I'm like, okay, we're probably going to do that. Nope, that's not what we did. Holy shit. So, it's one of those.
Well, and speaking of Marvel, though, I do. So, do they, as of yet, have they tied it directly into, like, have we seen cameos of people like, as Daredevil walk through set or anything like
No.
that, or no, nothing like that?
No, as far as we know, like this Wonder Man show is just the TV show that he's trying to get into and be a part of as Wonder Man, and they have mentioned other heroes in the show, but yeah, we've got no cameos for that stuff yet.
Well, not to deviate too far from this, but speaking of Marvel, I did see that we now have, the new trailer for Born Again Season 2, and we've got Jessica Jones
yes,
showing up in it. So 100%
Excited.
confirmed.
Which was on my notes list, by the way.
Oh, nice.
But yeah. So, So I'm pretty sure we're probably going to get a lot of characters back. Did I see Foggy in that trailer?
Yes, you did. And so I'm wondering now. So
Did I mention my Foggy theory? I think it was just Rob I talked to about that.
Well, I know that because in the comic books he had faked his death on more than one occasion.
Yes. Okay, then yes, I did bring it up. Okay.
But here's what concerns me though, is the fact that they showed Foggy in the trailer makes me think that it's probably a flashback.
Yeah, me too. Because he's just in his suit.
Yeah, because it's like
office.
if the whole thing was supposed to be the shock return and like, oh, we faked his death, you think that you would save that as like at the end of an episode and something to catch people off guard. You wouldn't put it in your trailer, of like, oh, by the way, he's in this one too. That I would think that you would try to hide that. So it actually bummed me out that he was in the trailer because it made me think that his character would not be, like he'd be in there just in the form of flashbacks.
Yeah, or that's what they want us to think.
I'm hoping that. I'm hoping it's a double bluff. Where it's
Yeah.
like we actually get Foggy back for real, and he.
How
faked...
often do we see trailers in for a TV show or a movie? Then we watch it, and that scene is never in it.
That's true, but in that case, though, it would be like, why even do that? Would make even less sense in this situation. But yeah, he was there, and it also looked like Karen clearly going to have a much more prominent role in season 2. because we know that like basically Foggy and Karen were not factored into the original plans before everything got scrapped, and then they restarted, and then they had to use a couple of the episodes from the. Anyways, so they got them back, but they didn't get to like Foggy was immediately gone, and then Karen just kind of showed up here and there, and she was basically just used as a way to like get Matt and the Punisher back together, but. It's very clear from the trailer that Karen is going to have a far, far more significant role in season 2.
She's become like 15-minute famous now because she's been making her rounds on the celebrity D&D circuit, so she's gotten super popular. But I always thought her character was impactful on the show, and I really think it helps kind of show Matthew Murdock's like what's going through his head. You can see it through Karen sometimes. And I
mean,
think
they were the fact that they even considered before. Again, I'm so glad that they scrapped whatever that was going to be, that version of Daredevil. But the fact that they even conceived of bringing that version of Matt Murdock back and not Karen Page along with him is just insane, because she was such a central part to the show and his development as a character in that Netflix show. Like, you could not have a Daredevil without Karen Page in it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Plus, I'm looking forward to a lot of prick back and forth banter, because that's obviously why they brought back Jessica Jones, because in the Defenders, the only thing that saved that show was the banter between Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock, dude. That was hilarious, them talking shit.
Yeah. I'm so stoked for her. And I do wonder, if we were going to get to see some other characters from that back. Are we going to get Luke Cage? Because I think they did show Rosario Dawson in the trailer, didn't they?
Yeah,
as the night nurse. So
yes,
I'd
like to go full deep dive from the Defenders, because Doctor Strange was in the Defenders in the comics. So it'd be interesting if they could work Benedict Cumberbatch into this, because that would be.
I don't know, but that's the thing where it's like, one thing that I did like about the Netflix version of the show and in Reborn is that they maintain that gritty feeling, and I honestly don't think that at least the current iteration of Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange would really fit. He would stand out in Born Again. Like, it wouldn't. I don't think it would. It wouldn't fit. Well.
He would overshadow for sure.
It would be like a sore thumb. I mean, it would just be like throwing a crayon on top of a black and white, TV show or something like that, like a Charlie Chaplin.
He kind of highlights whatever room he's in. But I will say this: he's also really, really good at the back and forth smartass banter. So
true, very
true.
Him
and Jessica and Jessica Jones would have a field day making fun of Doctor Strange.
Also saw though in the trailer, and again, I didn't plan for this to be a trailer breakdown, but one thing that we did see though was Kingpin in a boxing ring beating the shit out of somebody, and he was one thing that we saw in season 1 was he started off and he was very selective about what he ate and all that stuff. He was much trimmer, and then as season 1 goes on, he starts eating more. His suits stop fitting, and he has to get bigger suits, and he starts getting large. He becomes Kingpin again. And so he went from this well-intentioned guy, and you see him physically transform as well. But now it looked like he might have been in. So I don't think, maybe not trimmed down, but he was yoked. Like, he was looking fit.
In the comics, he had a boxing gym in his tower, in Fisk Tower. And that was always like, for lack of a worse video game term, that was always like a fight stage, when either Spider-Man or Daredevil went to Fisk Tower. So, it'll be interesting to see how they work that boxing part in.
Yeah, but if you're a fan of the Daredevil comics, and especially the Netflix show, and then and Reborn, or Born Again, sorry, The trailer, it looks, it's still, I mean, it's everything that we wanted. I think they've already confirmed that there will at least be a season 3, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so glad that that's one of the few things that I am optimistic for whenever it comes to Marvel is the Daredevil series, especially because Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio have such control of that show. They don't have exact control, but they have sway, and they are the ones that really lobbied and got the first season kind of scrapped and put back together. They were what got us what we did get, and they still had to use some of what was previously shot, which kind of didn't work and all that stuff. But this one is from the ground up. That idea, that vision with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio kind of steering their characters. And so I'm really optimistic about season 2. I think season 2 is going to be even tighter and even better, and even more of a return to what we really, truly wanted it to be.
All right, man. Well, I've got a little nugget that I think you may enjoy.
All right. Show me your nuggets.
From the creators and producers of The Gentleman and Sherlock Holmes, we are getting a young Sherlock Holmes show on Amazon Prime.
From Guy Ritchie?
Because
that's the creator of The Gentleman. That's the director of Sherlock Holmes.
I know, man. That's why I wanted you to fill in the blank on that one, because I know how much you love Guy Ritchie.
But he is involved in it. Like it is Guy. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's absolutely directed by Guy Ritchie and based on Andy Lane's novels. I'm excited because Hero Fine Tiffin is playing the young Sherlock Holmes.
I'm not familiar with that name. Have I seen him before?
Well, he's one of the Fiennes.
Like as in Ralph Fiennes?
Yes, absolutely. As in Lord Voldemort, and other people, but
and other
Colin
stuff too.
Colin Firth is in it, who I loved in Kingsman, who's playing Bucephalus Hodge. If you're familiar with the
what a name, stories. Yeah.
Joseph Fiennes is playing Silas Holmes, which is Sherlock's father. Natasha McElhone, who was recently in Halo, is playing Cordelia Holmes, which is Sherlock's mom. Donald Finn is playing James Moriarty. Max Irons is playing Mycroft Holmes, which is Sherlock's older brother, of course. Obviously, Watson will not be in this because this is way before he met Watson. So don't know anything about it other than it's set to release early in 2026. And it focuses on his origin story while he's at Oxford, where he meets James Moriarty, his arch nemesis in life.
So he actually meets he actually meets Moriarty before he's a supervillain. Okay, so he's introduced to him prior. All right.
Yeah. The consulting detective meets the consulting criminal. But dude, the amount of star power in this show, well, at least British star power in this show, and the
which
fact
is
that
very Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, and the fact that Guy Ritchie is the guy in charge, and that he's basing it on Andy Lane's novels, which were very good. If you're a big Holmes fan, I'm definitely gonna be in for this to watch this.
I'm excited because it also Guy Ritchie for the longest time was sort of just under the cusp of the mainstream, and like every time he got something, like he was married to Madonna briefly, as many were.
Who wasn't?
And that got him some stuff, and then like the first real shot he got at any sort of mainstream recognition was Arthur, whenever he got to do the King Arthur movie.
Yeah.
With Charlie Hunnam, which established his relationship with Charlie Hunnam that later, got to be used in, like The Gentleman and stuff. But so we got to see that, but he had a vision, and you could see his fingerprints all over it, but he said it was one of the worst experiences of his life because the studio absolutely continued to, interject their way of doing it and all this stuff, and they basically turned it into something that Guy Ritchie didn't want to be associated with, and like it was not his vision.
Yeah.
And then so he went back down to where he just was doing his thing, just under the cusp of the mainstream. And then we got The Gentleman, and then The Gentleman beget The Gentleman series on Netflix, and then that blew up. And then he did Mobland, and Mobland blew up. And now, thank goodness, Guy Ritchie, after decades of cranking out bangers, this dude has finally got enough like value in his name through his own. He's finally earned the right for him to like say what he wants to do and have the studio listen to him and say,
he's
okay,
earned his street
do it
cred,
that way.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to finally him getting some real big stuff going, and for him to be able to do it his way and to have the sway to be able to say how he's going to do it and people listen.
And I wanted to get through explaining the show without getting too much into people, although I kind of did that to myself. But for anybody that wants a little more background on Mr. Hero Beauregard Faulkner Fine Tiffin, he is the nephew of Ray Fine. And their claim to fame is that Hero played the young Tom Riddle in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, if you remember that. The whole situation with, what's his name? The teacher that Harry was supposed to befriend.
Well, there's a bunch of them.
Guy's name.
There's Dumbledore.
Well, that's the one he was trying to steal his memory that he had altered.
Cerberus? Snape?
No, it was the one. Never mind. It was the guy from Hot Fuzz, but that was the one where that Hero Fine has played the young Tom Riddle in those scenes, and then of course Ray Fine played Voldemort, so they were both in Harry Potter together. But I never can remember that professor's name ever. It's one of those things that always escapes me. He has the glasses. Played the police chief in Hot Fuzz.
It's been a long time. I saw Hot Fuzz once, and it was a long, long time ago.
Oh my God. I watch that movie like twice a year.
Yeah, are you talking about Mad Eye Moody?
No. He was the potions teacher. Professor Horace Slughorn,
Oh.
played by Jim Broadbent. So, yeah. But anyway, the scenes where they go into the Pensieve and Tom Riddle's talking to Professor Slughorn, those are him. So that's cool.
Gotcha.
But anyway, that was another little tidbit of TV news that I was excited about. I got two more real quick. One's the Fallout season finale. I finished it.
Nice.
Would you like to know my opinion on it?
I would love to know your opinion.
Okay, so
we have greetings.
What's that? That's from Eric Farmer.
Eric Farmer
What's up, man?
3644.
So, Fallout.
Yes,
season
your
finale
opinions.
Introduced a lot of fan service pieces. The Courier, the Northern California Republic, Caesar's Legion. I got to tell you, somewhere along the lines between Home Alone and now, Macaulay Culkin forgot how to act. I felt his, and I hate it because, love the guy. He's part of my childhood with Home Alone. His scenes were, dude, they were terrible. And it wasn't the writing. It wasn't the writing. It was him. So that was a tough beat. And luckily that's a very, very short, like 3-minute segment.
That's what I say. Should have gotten Kieran.
Yeah, and now I know why it was a 3-minute segment. They probably did a lot, and they were like, "Nope,
Let's just shave this.
This is not going to test well. Let's put this against the dials and see what people are saying." Nope, cut that. But we got the big Deathclaw fights that we wanted. We got the backstory on why the bombs fell. That was all good. In typical Prime TV fashion, we got zero closure. I swear Amazon is becoming famous for like 80s style cliffhangers where we've got to wait a year before we get to find out what happened. And this is no different. But all in all, the season was fantastic. And the fan service stuff is enough to carry over the horrible cliffhanger that we got stuck with. A lot of people like cliffhangers, man. I know some people are into them, and then that way that gives them something to talk about for a year, with their buddies until it comes back around and speculate with. But anyway,
Well, I was just checking just to make sure and see if there's any update. While you're talking about Fallout, I have still not received anything back from Walton Goggins, Goggle Glasses, regarding my outreach.
and see, this is the weird thing. Had I been watching the Macaulay Culkin scenes while wearing a pair of Walton Goggins goggle glasses, I feel like they would have been better.
Right?
Mainly because I wouldn't have been able to see them. But still, yeah, man, you got to finish that season. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I will endeavor. It's been a crazy week. And so it definitely, a lot of stuff came up that prevented me from doing all of my homework.
Yeah.
In fact, I wasn't even able to finish the Wrecking Crew, but I am through most of it, the Wrecking
Yes.
Crew. But I am enjoying very much. I'm enjoying the Wrecking Crew.
Well, and that's where I was ready to just finish up with Wrecking Crew. So, my thoughts on it, and I talked about it last week. So I'm just going to turn it over to you, and whenever you're ready, I'll comment on your comments.
Yeah, well, we'll interject whenever you see fit. I mean, you had said a lot of stuff, and yeah, I agree with all of it. I mean, it's big dumb fun. Well, except it's not. There are. I'll pull back a little bit. It's big
Okay.
fun. It's not dumb. It's one of those things where it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it does have a lot of heart to it. Like you had said, one of the things that you said last week that I was like, is you said that this was Dave Bautista's like most you got to show the most range of Dave Bautista in this, and I'm like, what? I mean, he was in Blade Runner, and he was doing all this stuff. He's done dramatic, he's done comedy, and he's done all this. But this is, I was proven wrong whenever I watched, and it's because it's because. Yeah, okay, so in Blade Runner, it was dramatic. And in the Knives Out movie, Glass Onion, it was very comedic. He was a parody of a character. And everything that he's done, it's been very one note. He's the killer guy. He's the intimidating guy. He's the emotional guy. This guy, he feels like a real person in this one.
Yes.
Because you get to see him laugh, you get to see him cry, you get to see him upset, you get to see him relax. That's one of the things that I really like about this, and I'm not even done with the movie yet. It's also a very long movie, which I enjoy. I love that it's over 2 hours, it's well over 2 hours. But you really feel like you're just going about the crazy days and series of events that's happening in these guys' lives. So you get to see Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa as well, but especially Dave Bautista, you get to see him go through all of these emotions, and so you get to feel like you just follow along this guy that's just reacting to this insane situation that he's been introduced into. And I really like that Jason Momoa, because again, Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista are good friends, and they just wanted to work together, and this movie is the result of them wanting to work together, and then they wanted, like a lot of people do whenever they get enough sway, is like, let's work together and let's do it in Hawaii. We'll have a vacation, we'll joke around, and we'll call it work, and we'll get paid a bunch of money. And so they both do their whole thing. But Jason Momoa, it's the first time that I really feel like you get to see Jason Momoa be Jason Momoa. Like you get to see the Jason Momoa that you see in TV interviews.
I don't think he's acting, dude.
No, yeah,
in that
exactly. You get to see the Jason Momoa that everybody falls in love with outside of the movies that he does. He's been funny and jokey before, but it was like, the Minecraft movie where it was like a parody character. It was over the top, out there, and it was, but this, you just get to see him be him. And so you have the serious stuff, you have the joking stuff, and they both do such a great job. Like whenever there's emotional times and there is a deep emotional story that runs through here, you get to see both of them be very good at all of that. And also I like that usually in this, because as you pointed out last week, they played brothers, and a lot of times in shows they kind of do this thing where, oh, this brother's the straight laced one and this brother's the fuck up.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's what is happening, where it's like, this is the military straight laced brother, and then here's the one, there's the black sheep, the one that couldn't do anything right and whatever. But then as you go through it, that's not, they don't do that. Like, both of them prove themselves to be very capable in areas. Like, the brother that you think is going to be the fuck up proves to be a very good cop. And so they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. They both have times where they look great, they're doing fantastic, and they both have times where you're like, why would you do that? Like, that was such a stupid decision.
One of the things I really liked, and I didn't bring this up last week because I felt like it would have spoiled part of it, and it's kind of along the lines of what you were just talking about, but Batista's this straight-laced Navy SEAL commander, and he's a father, and he's the one that's trying to keep this thing on rails and stay poised with all these crazy things that are happening in these few days of their life. But he has times where he screws up, and he owns them, And Jason Momoa, who is the screw up, has times when he does things that are extremely poised, and then he'll revert back. But they both, and that's what makes them believable as brothers as well, is because we all have a little bit of our siblings in us, and they have a little bit of us. And so, the back and forth between that, and, Batista always able to bring it back to his center, his core, and Momoa always able to bring it back to his pain, which is his driving thing, which is why I think he cracks jokes. That's his defense mechanism, is there's this underlying pain. So, and again, I don't know how far you've made into it, so I'm not going to go any further than that.
I said they're eating a helicopter, then chicken.
Yeah, helicopter.
That is where
and
I've made it.
So,
I've made it to helicopter chicken.
Then allow me to digress to when Momoa is back in Oklahoma to a set piece that I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed, which was a fight scene inside of Momoa's one-story, four-room house.
I think it was a trailer. If I was to, I think it was like
I was being nice.
Yeah, I don't even think it was a double wide. I'm pretty sure that was a single wide trailer.
Yeah, I was being nice, but still, that entire segment of that movie sold me on the movie. I mean, I was like, goodness gracious, dude. Air Supply's playing, and I'm like, what is going on in the world? What is up with this?
You had called out the fight choreography, and
yes,
I need to know. I need to look into it and find out who did it, who did the fight choreography, and then and maybe anybody that's gone to film school or knows how to. I don't know. There's something about the way that they not only choreographed the fights, but also the way that they're shot, that just make it feel real. Like, it just feels more believable. It doesn't feel like anybody's pulling a punch. I mean, obviously they are, but there's some movies where it's very clear that it is, going through the motions. They're repeating these moves that they have repeated ad nauseum over and over, and they're just going through. And I don't know, this one, they just do such a really great job of making you believe what is going on. Everything looks legit. And then, as you also mentioned before, they bring in a John Wick element of this, using the environment to your advantage. So oh, this is here, let me grab this. There in that fight that happens in that little single wide trailer, a window is broken, and then obviously there's all these jagged, this jagged glass up from the bottom, and then so somebody's neck gets run on that and slid across, and then slices somebody's neck. So it's all very, you get the whole, you're having a good time, something like that happens, like, oh geez, and then you're back into it. So it's just this great balance of fun and heart, but also a lot of really serious stuff in there. And so a lot of times I would say something that's big, dumb, fun, but this one's not dumb. It's a really well put together show. It's very competent. It's not dumb at all. It's just big and fun, and this is what you would want to see almost as there's not a direct one-to-one comparison, but this feeling, this vibe, what they're doing, this is what I would want to feel in an Uncharted movie. This is what I want, where we're just following these very capable people around for this crazy thing that's happening to them over the span of a few days. And, I don't know. It just, there's just a really interesting, unique feeling. I can't quite put my finger on it, but man, it's good. It's such a great vibe. It's such a great vibe.
Well, I'm glad we feel the same way about it, man. But as far as some answers to your questions, Akihiro Haga was the fight choreography, and he's known for his work on Kate and Power Rangers.
I am shocked.
The fight coordinator was Anthony Rena for Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. So he did that one. And then the stunt coordinator was John Valera, who did John Wick, Atomic Blonde, and Deadpool 2.
That sounds like the DNA that rings a bell. Like Power Rangers and stuff, that does not seem to I mean, I'm sure they're doing great at their jobs. I'm just saying, like, that's not what, but yeah, something like John Wick-esque, which, I mean, you called out, and then, yeah, I, of course, recognized that sort of vibe to it, so that very much tracks. So, yeah, that's probably the common DNA there is this guy that's worked in John Wick, that's worked in, Deadpool, stuff like that. Yeah, it's a great combination of whatever they've got that they should stick with it. And hopefully, who knows? I hope it does well on Amazon, and maybe we get a Wrecking Crew 2 or something like that, because this is just so much fun. I have, like I said, I haven't even gotten to finish it yet. It's been a crazy week, but yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing it, and it's been a fun ride so far. I really hope that they continue on with something like this. This one feels like it kind of feels like lightning in a bottle. It's one of those things where their chemistry on screen. I mean, like the fact that they are friends in real life, it brings something across on screen that you can't replicate otherwise. The same way that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are able to accomplish in The Rip. That chemistry just cannot be replicated any other way, and you feel it immediately. It would for them to play opposite one another and pretend like they didn't know each other would feel inauthentic. I don't think they would be capable of playing that in a believable way. They just have that level of chemistry together. This is a buddy cop kind of, even though one of them's a cop and one of them's a military guy, but this buddy cop chemistry, you gotta capitalize on it. Do more.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you too. Did you get what I meant about when I was talking about Morena Baccarin's character and how she seems so throwaway at the beginning? And then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, she is
here.
At the point that I've gotten to, she is just now becoming very instrumental in the story. Yes.
Yeah, so that was very good as well. But yeah, man, all in all, great movie. Everybody should watch it.
Yeah, if I was to give one complaint, and I'll find one complaint, and it's that, so they play brothers. They're based in Hawaii, so they are, the Pacific Islanders is the thing. And so Dave Bautista is not a Pacific Islander. He's actually
part Filipino.
Part Filipino. And so he's also tatted to the gills, right? So now there was a time whenever they tried to cover up his tattoos whenever he would do acting long ago, but now it's just like, no, there's no way. It's just he's tattoos. So he's a tattooed guy, but they did try to, so since he's not actually Polynesian or Pacific Islander or something like that, he doesn't actually have any Pacific Islander oriented tattoos. So what they did is they put these tattoos on the side of his neck that very much look like Jason Momoa's actual tattoo that he has on his forearm with the triangles. And sometimes those tattoos look okay, and sometimes they look rough in some scenes. If I was to do any complaint, sometimes the temp tats that they put on his neck ain't looking so sharp. But that's it.
I didn't even notice. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even notice. Normally, I would notice.
It's something that's going to jump out at me, but that's the only complaint. Which is to say, I really have nothing to complain about. It's such a fun movie so far.
Yeah, it is a good movie, man, and I do hope there's a sequel to it. Or it could be a one-off and just be a great one-off movie.
I don't know, man. I hope that, especially given that these guys are actually really good friends, and if it does really well, which I hope that it does, you gotta imagine that there would be, if the studio wants it, you'd have to imagine that they'd be totally down to do it again.
I got to tell you, you brought up chemistry. Momoa has a great opposition chemistry with
Yes.
Patrick Wilson. And if they bring him in to be the bad guy in a sequel, that would be, they'd be borderline starting their own Fast and Furious / Expendables franchise at this point. But
I would much rather have their universe than the
Yes.
Fast and Furious universe at this point.
Me too. At this point, yes. Because after Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, I was done. So yeah, let's stop it there. But dude, we're at 2:30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a good talk.
Yeah. Like we said, bad week, but a very, very good hang. So yes,
Very strong vibing show tonight.
yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you very much, Jay. Yeah, it was very cathartic to have a good hang on this Thursday evening. So thank you very much, and everybody. We'll of course see you again next week at 7 Central.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us on this evening. And any other closing thoughts, Jay?
No, other than I hope the Patriots kick the Seahawks ass on Sunday. Other than that, I'm good, and I could do without Lewis Hamilton dating Kim Kardashian. But we can,
Well, I just hope both teams have fun.
I must leave you a news.